Summer starts on June 20th, but May 17th brings a high of 92 degrees to the valley, and Monterey Bay FC, who travel to Phoenix sitting among the top of the Western Conference, while Phoenix fight to get above the playoff line. With momentum and 22-mile-per-hour gusts of winds at their backs, Phoenix looks to notch their first home win in 238 days. I'm Kevin Cardez, joined by Mahir Sinhasan, and this is Rising Radio's presentation of Phoenix Rising FC on Phoenix Rising's X, Facebook page, and 1060 AM with KDUS. Mahir, big game at home tonight, looking for the first win in a long time.
Yeah, first win in a long time, and I think more importantly, Kevin, just trying to get some sort of momentum. We've seen it away from home for a while, a win against San Antonio, a win last week against New Mexico United, but there's something about winning a game in front of your home fans as the Banditos are starting to fill in on the south side of the stadium. This is a big game for Rising, especially knowing the schedule ahead for them and just knowing that this is 30th in Washington. They want to do something big for their fans.
Finally returning home after a really raucous win on the road in Albuquerque against their biggest rivals in New Mexico United. They take down United 2-1 on the road on the back of a goal from Hope Avayevu and Darius Johnson, both of which contributed to the first 3 points in a very long time. But Mahir, Rising's only wins this year, they only have 2 of them, have come on the road in big moments, whether it was San Antonio, who sat atop the Western Conference at the time, first game for the entire USL Championship on CBS national television. They knocked them off there on the road over in Toyota Field. Then they go on a little slide. They can't quite find their footing in terms of bringing home 3 points, but then they win on the road in Albuquerque, and they take down their biggest rivals. And after all the dust settles and you move away the Jaeger Cup and the U.S. Open and you want to win everything, but the dust settles to a 2-2-1 record in their last 5 in championship play. 2 wins, 2 draws, 1 loss, 4 results from their last 5 in league play. How much does that matter?
It really matters, and I think the other thing it goes back to is what Pau Motoca's been saying from the start of the season, which is we can compete with everybody. We know how good our team is, and again, that belief has kind of wavered amongst the fans, especially with the start of the season. But again, peeling back the layers, Kevin, you take a look at that New Mexico win, especially following after that Houston Dynamo loss. And even though it was a loss, it happened in extra time. So the first 90 minutes, if you just account for that, it's a 1-1 draw against an MLS side. And that's something that Pau Motoca and crew really have to be proud about. And you take a look at that, you take a look at the New Mexico win, it's arguably speaking the best 2-game stretch that this Phoenix Rising side has put together this season, and this is why these games are so important, because 2 can lead to 3, 3 can lead to 4, and then all of a sudden you can get momentum as you head into the middle part of the season.
This is a club that has deep history, very rich history in the USL Championship. This is one of their worst starts in club history. 0.8 points per game in all competitions across the last 12 games if you were to count every cup competition as 3 points, 1 point, and 0 points. Their lowest ever before this year was 1.3 in 2019 before a 20-game win streak. You talked about 2-game stretches, Mahir. In 2024 and 2023, Rising only notched 2 back-to-back winning scenarios in each of those seasons. They haven't done it yet in 2025, but those long win streaks and the very notable winning that they became accustomed for. When we talked to Rakowski in the preseason on the podcast, he talked about how when he played for Orange County, coming to Phoenix was daunting. It was a fan base that was very loud and proud, and getting a result at 38th in Washington or out in Wild Horse Pass, wherever the stadium was at the time, was a big deal. Winning tonight is not just 3 points, but the first one in a very long time. September of last year is the last time that they won in front of home fans, and at a certain point, you need to get 3 in front of home. But moving all that aside, and knowing that you have to win, knowing that you want to win every single game, whether it's in the table, Jaeger, U.S. Open Cup, Gold Cup is coming up. And Phoenix, the beneficiary of many great talents on their roster, have to deal with the fact that the national window comes and the U.S. soccer window does not exactly account for it. You're going to watch Darius Johnson probably go play for Grenada. You're going to watch Carl-Fred Saint go play for Haiti. You're going to watch Joel Margarita, maybe your best player on the squad, go play for Curacao. They withstood it last week. Besides Carl-Fred Saint, Darius and Gerald didn't start. They were both in squad, and Carl plays as a center back. And they have center back help on the way. Pop Marboy will return from injury later in about a month. You're going to watch Mo Traore come back after he clears his personal issues. Last week was big. How big was it in terms of the roster construction and what we'll see for the rest of the summer?
I think it's very big, and I think the one thing we've talked about this Rising side has been their defensive side. And again, their attack, you can talk about things here and there, and again, we'll take a look at the lineup tonight, I think the biggest thing, at least for me, is the fact that you can still have an attack going forward when you have a guy like Hope Avayevu, whoever's running the middle, whether it's Isan Sako or Remy Cabral, someone who can really help out in that category. That's another thing that Pa Motoka has talked about. This team has depth, and they can really push forward and get those gritty results like we saw against New Mexico. And then even on the defensive side, even though you still have a couple of players that are trying to plug their way in towards the starting lineup, like Asenge, like Carl Saint, it's still a little bit better because you know that help is on the way, so you can be on the uptick, if you will.
Gritty results, health improving, and a squad that is slowly but surely gelling together, becoming a more complete Phoenix Rising, looking to be the best in the table since 2022 and before that. The last 2 years not so prosperous when it comes to the table. Phoenix tied at 10 points with 3 other teams, Oakland, Orange County, and Sacramento, all stuck racing for 8th place, but just 3 points behind FC Tulsa, who sit currently in 5th. More on the table, the squad, health, and everything that comes after that, including Monterey Bay FC. A little more coming up after this short break on Phoenix Rising Radio, KDUS 1060, and X and Facebook.
Zuzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Nah, listen. Because of all the injuries we have, we can't put people that we want also to come off the bench, and that is football. But again, these players that are playing, they're showing the hunger, the drive to fight for this club, and you cannot ask for more because at the end of the day, that's what it's about. These players come in every single day to give it their all, and for us as a staff, we're very proud. The club is very proud, and we know what we can become once also we're fully healthy. And
That was head coach Pa Motoka for Phoenix Rising. We'll take a quick look at their lineup. If you're following along on X and Facebook, you'll be able to look at the screen and take a peek at their lineup. On the back line, we have Braxton Montgomery, the academy kid turned kind of professional over the last 2 months, getting another start in the starting 11 off the left. His battery mate, Colin Smith, off the right, a center back pairing and a captain for Carl Fred Saint. And Axel Asenge through the middle, we have JP Skierce and Hope Avayevu off the left, paired with Noble Akello on the right, a winger duo of Damian Rivera getting another start finally, slowly working through his injury issues off the left, Dariush Formella on the right, and leading the line is Isan Sako. But Mahir, you want to talk about Hope Avayevu.
Yeah, Hope Avayevu, according to his teammate Darius Johnson, he said it best, he's the magic man. And after New Mexico, again, a lot of people in Phoenix Rising can definitely say that he is the magic man. 5 shots and 3 shots on goal against their fierce rival. which led to 1 goal and an assist. It was very interesting to see his play too, because you saw him on the right-hand side, but more importantly, you saw him play as a false 9. And this is a guy who works as a 10. He should be working in that 4-2-3-1, which a lot of people use, but even in this 4-3-3, he tends to play as the highest midfielder, to the point where he can play as a forward because he is creating those opportunities, and he's once again doing it anywhere on the pitch. It's the versatility that this Phoenix Rising squad needs to get some chances.
Something too that Hope Avievu does so well is he just wins on the ground. Almost a 70% dual win rate, whether it's in the ground or the air, all combined. So talented, and does it from a 5'6" frame, has a very low center of gravity, and is able to get very physical and dig out dual wins. One of the most intense pressers on the entire team, and often leads the line when it comes to defensive press besides Isan Sako or Remy Cabral. He's the second man to get to the ball. Very, very talented. Now, taking a look at Monterey Bay, the visitors, we have a back four sitting in their 4-4-2, although last week they shifted into a 4-1-4-1, something that we'll be very careful to look at tonight. A back four of Gadiri, Guzman, their captain, number 2, Nico Gordon, the Birmingham, England native. On the right, we have Garcia, and through the middle, we have Ivanovic, Wesley Fonguk, Malai Malongo, Rebelar, and leading the line are Moby Fair and their number 9, Elijah Paul. Mahir?
Yeah, there's so many different options for this Monterey side, but for me, I'm going to focus on Malongo, not just because he scored that goal against Rhode Island that put Monterey in front and eventually led to them getting a point. You know, this is a guy that can really take up space. If you get him out on the left wing, and you could see him, you could see Ivanovic out there, they're really going to challenge those Phoenix Rising players one-on-one. Colin Smith specifically, that's going to be an interesting battle down the stretch. But in terms of Malongo, he's a guy that just takes up space. And more importantly, if he's close towards the attacking third, roughly 30 yards out, he's going to have a hit. And we saw that multiple times against Rhode Island last week, especially on that left wing. We could see him levitate out there, or if he's just working in the half spaces, if you will, he's going to take those shots direct. It's going to make Patrick Rakowski's day a little bit tough.
Mayo Malongo last week against Rhode Island scored the goal that ended up getting them a point. They drew 1-1 against Rhode Island, and he's had a fairly productive year. 8 starts, 3 goals, and assist to his name, 4 total goal contributions. And the week before that, he had the assist in which they drew Miami as well. So 2 very, very productive weeks. 2 in the last 2. He was a USL League One product in 2023. He slowly made the jump to the championship, and now Monterey Bay, the beneficiaries. Last week, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but they shifted into a 4-1-4-1. Head coach for Monterey Bay, Jordan Stewart, opted to go for a look where they had more numbers in the midfield, trying to maintain possession of the ball. This is a team that only has 47% possession on average throughout the year. That's just good enough for 15th in the championship, tied with a few others. Not extremely proficient when it comes to holding the ball. They felt that the change against Rhode Island was adding numbers to the midfield, dropping somebody back from the front 2, and trying to control the pace of play a little bit more, not trying to rely on the counter as much. Ended up getting a point.
Yeah, they're going to really try to push that pace and really try to control it, especially in the opening 15 to 20 minutes. And I think the biggest thing about it is waiting for that other team. They really did a good job of that in the last 60 to 70 minutes. They let Rhode Island really dictate the pace of it. Now, Phoenix Rising on the other side, this is a team that loves to keep possession. And for Monterey, you know, they're going to try to slow that down, try to get some possession in the midfield. And we've seen teams try to beat Rising off the counter, but a lot of them try to really, you know, diversify their midfield, if you will. So it will be interesting to see if Monterey will once again bring that 4 midfield, if you will, with that one holder, which we expect could be Fonguk, it could be anybody in terms of that midfield. But it will be interesting to see because Monterey loves to press, and they will want to set up in the attacking third.
How much work does this make then here for JP Skiers? So far through this year, he's appeared in 6. He's only started 4. This is going to be his 5th start for the year, but he struggled with a few knocks early on in the year, had to work his way back into the squad. He's an Arizona native. He comes from Nogales, played with Union Omaha. They call him the target on set pieces. They really wanted to make him more of a target when it comes to the corners and free kicks because that's what he was in Union. But now so much more work, especially if they're going to add numbers to the midfield. What does this do for his workload tonight?
Now he really has to be at multiple places at once, and that's the one thing about being a 6. It's essentially being a box-to-box midfielder without having the label of being a box-to-box midfielder, because you have to cover so much space in so much time. And I think the other thing about JP Skeers is he's the target on the offensive side. He's the guy to take aerial duels because of his tall frame, and that's the sort of area that he has to be in, especially if Monterey's going to play balls over the top, if they're really going to try to target Fair and Paul going forward. Specifically Paul, knowing that he's one of the first guys that makes those entries into the final third, he's going to have to be the one to stop it. But I think in terms of the midfield, this is where we're going to have to see Skeers play on the ground. His ground game's going to have to be really good tonight. Can he distribute? Can he get it out of the attacking third, send it back, and get some chances for Rising on the counter?
Now looking back a little bit, this is the second time they've played this year. Last year, Monterey pulled off the double against Phoenix. They've won in both fixtures, home and away. Earlier this year, in match week 3, Phoenix got knocked off 3-1 on the road against Monterey Bay. It was a relative battering, but with a little context, 2 red cards in the mix. Carl Fred Saint picks up 1 red card for violent conduct, is what the central referee deemed it as. Pop Boy picked up 2 yellow cards, received his red card on the field. They played with 9 men down the stretch, and at one point, it was assistant coach Darnell King, along with Jamison Ping, Pierce Rizzo, Cyrus Kowal, and Brax Montgomery. That means of the 9 men on the pitch and 8 outfield players, 4 were academy kids, 1 was an assistant coach. That means 3 squad players were finally playing of that 9. Different look tonight, Mahir. Different look, healthier, more of their pieces together. That being said, not perfectly healthy. No Remy Cabral tonight. He led the line and scored the goal against Monterey Bay. That was the goal scorer. That was the one in the 3-1 not up. Tonight should be a little different.
I would guess so. And I think it's not just the fact that, you have a lot of players back. This is a Rising team that's gelled a lot. And, taking a look at the fact that this is the first return fixture of the 2025 season, a lot of players have continued to say, hey, we had a legit chance of winning that game in Monterey if it wasn't for the red cards late. It was a really even matchup for the first 50 to 55 minutes before Saint and Marboy were sent off. So if you take a look at that last 30 minutes, again, you're not going to see much, but if you take a look at those first 50 to 55 minutes, you're going to see a Rising side that really pressured Monterey, had most of the possession, upwards of 55% in that first half. And this was a Monterey side that was reeling, especially after allowing the equalizer for Cabral. That was Phoenix Rising's opportunity to really try to get a lead and try to establish some sort of possession and momentum. That's why, in ways, Rising, in some extent, had a chance of winning that game. And that's why it's going to be a little bit different tonight, Kevin, because we're assuming it's going to be an 11v11 game, and we're going to see a Rising side that's fit for the entire 90 minutes. They've got guys coming off the bench, including Darius Johnson, who scored last week. It's going to be so interesting because Rising is getting closer towards 100%.
Darius Johnson, also during midweek media with us this week, talked about how they felt that they should have gotten points from the Monterey game. They felt that they were the better side, and when those red cards came off, the wheels sort of fell off. It was Guzman who scored the initial goal in the 3rd minute. Monterey, that was the narrative for the first few fixtures of the year for Phoenix, is that everybody's punching first. Well, you watch Guzman go up there, and Carlos knocked in that goal 3 minutes in. It was about 120 seconds through before that one finally hit the back of the net. Then Remy Cabral equalizes in the 17th. Those red cards come out in the 63rd and 68th, and in that flurry, Rebelar scores, and so does Horup. It was, not what they wanted, but now shifting back the focus to home. That was on the road. Lots of fans here. It should be a good turnout for out-of-school night, but they haven't won at home since September 21st, 2024. It was a 4-0 battering of San Antonio. Now, all focus shifts to 3 points at home, but we talk about, the importance of getting results and the way that now, as the season slowly waters down, that we're not in the, initial stages anymore. This isn't the feeling out period. This is go time, right? We're watching a very congested Western Conference where the table is relatively wide open. I mean, the top is El Paso and Monterey knotted at 16 points with San Antonio as well, and then just 3 points below them is Tulsa, and 1 point behind them as well as New Mexico. But everybody's in the race. Tonight is just so important to get something from it, and don't let them get the double twice.
Yeah, more importantly, don't get the double twice, but also get 3 points too. I mean, you saw from that win against New Mexico, even though Rising went from being 10th in the West to being 9th in the West, they're keeping pace overall. So a lot of these teams are getting out of that feel-out process. They're finding their identity, and they're finding what works best for them. For Phoenix Rising, this is why 3 points matter, not just because you have a Monterey side that's close towards the top. If it wasn't for El Paso Locomotive, this is a team that really wants to get after it, right? They want to win. Pamoroka has always made the playoff with whatever coaching staff and whatever team he's been a part of. So this is a guy that really wants to bring in a playoff culture for Phoenix Rising overall when you take a look at how Rising wants to play down the stretch.
Pamoroka has never missed the playoffs, like Mahira said, in his career as a manager. He holds a 59.5% win percentage as the gaffer of all sides involved that he's led. Looking to extend that into the 2025 USL Championship season with Phoenix Rising and everybody in this stadium tonight looking to add to their win total and make it 3 for the year. We'll be back with just a little more on the Rising Radio pregame show on Phoenix Rising's X Facebook page and KDUS 1060 AM. Back in just a moment.
Uzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Well, those gusts of wind seem to get a little more aggressive every time they come and hit the backs of all the fans in this stadium tonight at 38th and Washington. Phoenix Rising taking on Monterey Bay FC at home, looking for their first home win in a very, very long time. Looking at a few keys to the game here. First off, Phoenix, you want to get the wings going.
Yeah, for sure, and I think that's the biggest thing that Monterey is going to force Phoenix to do tonight, and that's something we've seen from Phoenix Rising down the stretch, especially over these past couple of years. They've really tried to invest in some really fast wingers with Damian Rivera, we're going to see on the left today, Darius Formella on the right, even though he tends to play as a striker, Isan Nino Sacco, Jerome Margarita, who is available off the bench today. So there's a lot of key players that Phoenix Rising can bring into this game and really try to rush down the wings. And then the biggest thing will be trying to cross it in and trying to create some chances. Can you get those big bodies in the box, whether it's Sacco, whether it's Cabral, and just try to find the back of the net whenever you can. For Monterey, the biggest thing is trust your defense. Again, this is a team that has allowed 0.8 goals per game. That's the second best in the USL Championship. And the biggest thing is they've got a great CEO and their goalkeeper, Campuzano. You know, true successor to Anthony Siaha, who we saw last year, who had 102 saves last season, tied for second in the USL Championship. Campuzano putting up some good numbers himself. Again, he's trying to lead the league in saves, similar to what his predecessor did, and that's one thing we've seen from Monterey down the stretch. Campuzano, 34 saves this season, this part of the season, even though it's early on. He's starting to lead the line. He's starting to lead the charge, if you will, and that sometimes that means being vocal, sometimes that means being out there and really taking the charge, even if your center backs and your midfielders don't really get to the ball.
On the flip side, Patrick Gorkowski, the netminder tonight for Phoenix, has not had a clean sheet all year, has conceded 11 goals, my apologies, to the tune of 13 saves as opposed to the 34 of Campuzano. The second best defense in the USL for Monterey, that's good for just 8 goals conceded all season long. Extremely, extremely staunch. Your player to highlight tonight, though, for Phoenix is Remy Cabral.
Yeah, and I think the biggest thing with Remy is, can he create those chances on the wings? You know, we've seen Remy really be a creator and a guy who hasn't been on the score sheet recently. His last goal was on April 6th, a goal from the penalty spot against San Antonio FC. His last goal in the run of play, March 29th, against Monterey Bay, and it was really Remy just troubling the channels, if you will, and creating that space in the wings. We've seen Remy really push out towards the wings on both sides, creating that space in behind, or really forward, if you will, for Avievu and some others. I think for Monterey, it's a similar story for them. It's with Elijah Paul. He was the guy that got the final third entry as Monterey scored that goal with Malongo, and even though that was a curler, it was Paul just, you know, driving down the right flank, crossing it into the box. It was bouncing around, a couple of passes, and it finds Malongo for the easy slot away home. Those are the types of chances you want to see. It always comes down to the creators to get those big chances in a match like this. And even though the strikers are supposed to score, they're also the ones creating the chances as well.
Looking to create chances, looking to do it at home in front of their home fans and get it done for the first time since September of 2024. A lot on the line tonight, whether it's in the table, for the fans, or for the players on the pitch. It's Monterey Bay FC taking on Phoenix Rising in front of the home fans for the second time this year. Can they complete the double for the second time over Phoenix in 2 years, or will Phoenix rise to the moment and finally take down Monterey Bay and get a leg back into one of the very rare fixtures that they don't have the all-time advantage in? It's Phoenix Rising, Monterey Bay, back in just a moment after the national anthem for 90 minutes of intense and passionate USL Championship football. Back after this.
Uzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app. Each day at work just dragging on. Get your sports fix on the lunch break. Join Chris Schubert and producer Evan live as they give their local perspective on the world of sports. Baseball, football, and basketball. Everything has a home on their plate. It's The Lunch Break with Chris Schubert, live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060, on the KDUS 1060 app, and KDUS 1060 on YouTube. Attention all clones. The Jim Rome Show is here for you every day here on KDUS AM 1060.
Lots to get done. Welcome to the program.
Listen in as Rome dives into the biggest sports headlines of the day. From final scores, player contracts and trades, team prospects, and even a spicy take or two. The Jim Rome Show, 1 to 4 p.m. every weekday here on KDUS AM 1060.
That's the trick.
Online at KDUS1060.com and on the KDUS 1060 app. James Out West, your home for sports down here in the desert. Join James and Pat the Stat Guy as they recap the weekend and dive deep into the numbers for the NFL, NBA, college sports, and more.
That's 5 seasons of 1,200 yards.
Player stats, team numbers, and contracts are just the start of the discussion for James and Pat.
He started 815 career games. He threw 749 complete games.
There's no hiding when it comes to stats. It's James Out West every Monday night from 7 to 8 p.m. right here on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Let's get into the action. Phoenix Rising Soccer, live now on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Phoenix and Monterey Bay, two that have slowly become under-the-radar rivals against each other. Monterey Bay have taken the last 3 in a row. That's 9 points from the last 3 fixtures against Phoenix. Phoenix looking to prevent the double for the second year in a row against Monterey Bay, who have slowly but surely scorched to the top of the table, sitting second above the West, while Phoenix sit in 9th, looking to get above the playoff line for the first time all year. I'm Kevin Cardez, joined with Mahir Sinhasan on KDUS 1060 AM, X, and Facebook with Rising Radio. This is the official presentation of Phoenix Rising FC against Monterey Bay all night long, wherever you may choose to listen. Mahir, massive opportunity here for Phoenix and Monterey as well.
Most definitely. I think for both teams, these are two teams that want to really show themselves as playoff contenders. Again, Rising was really struggling to be in that category last year, was able to squeak in as an 8th seed. Not really the case for Monterey. These are two teams that are trying to turn things around as they head into 2025. And though Phoenix has really struggled at times, they have had a really good stretch, especially with that game against Houston, taking them to 120 minutes and then beating New Mexico 2-1 on the road. Their second win of the season, their second win in a long time. And you know, as both teams really take the pitch, it's going to be an intense battle, Kevin, and I think we're going to see that tonight. Really great atmosphere on tap with this being out of school night. A lot of kids are going to be here, really want to see what Phoenix Rising Soccer is all about. They're going to get that taste tonight, and it should be a good game down the stretch.
Phoenix, in their last 5 in championship play, 2-2-1, which sounds a lot better when you take the Open Cup and the Jägermeister Cup out of it. They have 4 results from their last 5. They took down their biggest rival in franchise history in the form of New Mexico United 2-1 on the road in Albuquerque, New Mexico last week on the backs of goals from Hope Avievu and Darius Johnson, both of which in the squad tonight. Hope Avievu will start in the middle of the pitch. Darius Johnson will tend the bench until his number is called to come off of said bench. Massive opportunity for Phoenix & Co. as everybody gets ready to go here at 38th and Washington here in Phoenix, Arizona. Phoenix Rising donning their red kits, their usual this year in 2025 with the white lettering and numbers on the back. They'll move from right to left on your dial, while Monterey Bay will sport their bright blue, and they'll move from left to right for this first 45. Goalkeepers tonight on both sides. We have Nico Campuzano, the goalkeeper for Monterey Bay FC, the league leader in saves so far in 2025. A fantastic start to the year for him. And Monterey Bay has gotten used to quality goalkeeping over the last 2 years. It's Patrick Rakowski tending the net and the all-black kit with white numbers and white lettering on the back of his jersey. He'll look to finally notch a clean sheet, not just in 2025, but in the last 15 matches for Phoenix. A lot on the line for both. Phoenix trying to get above the playoff line, and Monterey Bay trying to stay atop the West in a very packed and condensed Western Conference with a lot of talent and a lot of teams looking to make a name for themselves. Still early, but the season's slowly turning as spring turns into summer, and Phoenix and Monterey both have playoff hopes beyond just making an 8 seed or a 7. These are teams that want to win a title. Phoenix has done it once. Monterrey's never gotten it done. Somebody may do it in 2025. It's Hope Avievu in the center circle, and Phoenix to kick first. Avievu moves back for his captain and center back tonight, Carl Fred Saint, who sends a long ball up and over the top for the waiting head of Guzman, who heads it down, and now Monterey Bay seems to wrangle possession. It'll be their ball as they burst down that left touchline, and Monterey Bay off to a fast and explosive start, although they lose the ball with the Phoenix at the very end. It's a Senge. Back to Saint. Senge loaned out from LA Galaxy just 2 weeks ago, his third week in the squad. He hasn't lost an aerial duel yet for Phoenix. A very athletic presence, one that they feel that they're missing in the absence of their captain, Pop Marboy, who's out for a few weeks with a knee injury. Braxton Montgomery, near side touchline, pushes the ball back for Axel Asenge, and a rising man is down on the left side near the touchline. That's near side for us. It's Dariush Formella, who might have taken a hit to the face. He's grabbing at his right temple or maybe his neck. 1 minute through, still 0-0.
Not something you want to see early on with Formella going down and, again, away from the play. So this was, a contact injury and a contact collision, but still, not pressing for the ball, if you will, and some interesting moments for Phoenix early. And so far, Phoenix has done a pretty good job at, setting the scene, have been able to work their way through the back, even though Monterey has been trying to push towards the far side and did a decent job in doing so. But when you have a strong back line, those types of attacks are not going to be common for a team like Monterey.
Well, Formella gets up and shakes that one off. Hopefully that's just a little knock. This is a Phoenix team that has dealt with a plethora of availability and injury issues in 2025. Some are still plaguing the squad. We talked about it. The usual captain, Pop Marboy, the Senegalese center back, out again this week and likely will be for the next few with a knee injury and an MCL strain, as it was termed. They'll look to get him up and going as soon as possible. They miss him dearly in the center of the defensive line. The bench tonight for Phoenix, Joel Margarita, Alejandro Araneta, Darius Johnson, and Jamison Ping are the only squad players, along with Ryan Flood. And then it's Alexander Balanzar, Cyrus Kowal, Jan Villegas, and Pierce Rizzo, all academy kids for Phoenix. They round out the bench, lots of them tonight, in the absence of Emi Quayshow, Pop Marboy, Julio Dortioto, and a few other notable names. We'll see what happens with them over the next few weeks as we hit the summer and the Gold Cup window. Play restarts for Monterey. Slow but steady possession for Monterey as they get the ball going and move on the far side touchline, just playing between their center backs, trying to settle the run of play and get something going for them. Campuzano sends a line-splitting ball to the waiting forehead of Braxton Montgomery, knotted down there by the left foot of Hope Avievu, who loses it again in the run of play. That's Revelar. Far side touchline, Monterey loses it again, a team that only has 47% of possession on average this year, 15th in the championship. Not a team that loves to hold the ball, they like to break and counter. So far, Phoenix has had the lion's share through the first 4 minutes. Still 0-0. Phoenix at home. Colin Smith, far side touchline, moves back for a Senge, and more slow waiting play in the defensive half here for Phoenix. Carl Fred Saint moves it to the near side touchline for Montgomery. Some fierce defensive pressure. Formella gets out of it. Hope Avievu some more one-touch stuff, and Formella swings, touches, and tries to turn a line-splitting, a half-space switching ball. Monterey loses it again. Colin Smith wins it in the right half space, and now a chance for Noble Akelu, who pushes it into the final third. Rivera looking to cross the ball into the center of the net. Avievu had a chance, and Campuzano and crew were there. It was Carlos Guzman who got a foot to it, but Avievu was inches away from another goal. That would have been his third goal contribution in the last 94 minutes of open play. Quick restart for Phoenix. Number 10, that's Avievu. Center of the park, moves it back to the far side touchline. Colin Smith, more smooth, calm, and careful play from Colin Smith. He's played a ton this year. Feels like he's played every minute, only missed a single half. It was against Sacramento Republic, and the only matinee day game in 38th and Washington's history. He played an AM game right before Easter. Asenge breaks the half line, moves it back for Avievu, who's on the far side touchline, playing a little out of position, and a quick line-splitting ball from Colin Smith gets to the feet of Asenge, and now Rivera, who's trying to complete a dribble and breaks not one but two, manages to get into the box, but booted away there by Guzman, and more slow, careful play turns into a ball for Wesley Fonguk, who is trying to retain possession in the middle. Can he find the run of a teammate? No, he can't. Asenge goes down, foul there on Monterey Bay, and a free kick in the offensive half for Phoenix.
Really good play by Damian Rivera out on the right wing. Again, tends to play on the left wing, a left-footed player, so it works well when you're driving towards the end line. But he did a really good job on that far end line to really drive and then cross it in low, and that was a really good chance by Avayevu trying to turn and try to keep it in play as he was running out on the byline. So some really interesting play by Rising, just couldn't find the goal.
Can't quite find the net. Still 0-0 in the 6th minute. Formella, near side touchline, finds his center back captain in Saint. Saint finally moves it back, and likely the second touch all night for Rakowski. A dangerous ball in front of the mouth of the net, and suddenly Rakowski just sends a very low-driven clear. Avayevu near the center circle, moves past 1 and 2, moves it all the way back for Saint again, who finds Asenge. More settled play for Rising, trying to retain possession. So far, 79% of the ball through the first 6 minutes. Still 0-0. Phoenix trying to punch first. They didn't do that last time against Monterey. A nod on from Isan Sako, but it's snuffed out there by Monterey. Colin Smith couldn't quite get there. It was the waiting run of what looked like Rebelar, and he snuffed it out there for Colin Smith, who couldn't quite get to the end line in time. A quick restart and a goal kick for Monterey. Maybe they'll get a little string of possession going. It'll be Campuzano to take. Laid off for Guzman, who is chased by Sako immediately. Guzman gets it on the far side touchline. Sako intense on the press. Moves it to the middle of the pitch. Back again for Campuzano, who has to clear it into the stands. A long sent ball. Campuzano in a lot of trouble early. Sako making issues on the defensive end.
That's the one thing when you have the goalkeeper really running all those passes. You know, he's a guy that saves, he's a guy that's giving communication, but sometimes you have to be able to string those passes even if it means lofting it out towards the midway points on the end lines.
Trying to find anything when it comes to just holding the ball. Monterey slipping even further. 79% for Phoenix, 21% of the ball for Monterey through 7 minutes. 0-0. 38th in Washington, the crowd slowly but surely filling out on out-of-school night, one that generally brings a fairly large crowd. Last year against the Miami FC, it felt like a sellout at home. Sako, near side touchline, loses that out of bounds, but it's still Phoenix ball. Careful pressure on the far side touchline there by Ivanovic. Throw-in for Colin Smith off the right foot of Damian Rivera. Colin Smith gets past Ivanovic. Can he find Rivera? Rivera darts to the top of the box, and Colin Smith there, hounded by not one but two Monterey Bay defenders. There's Moby Fair and Gaderi.
And that's what you have to do in those types of situations where you just have to drive towards the end line and just try to knock it off. Smith knows that he's not going to get a cross off. He doesn't have anybody that he can pass back to 5 to 10 yards away. He has to take it himself, try to get the best opportunity you can, and for him it's a corner kick.
8th minute, corner kick on the way for Hope Avayevu, who's become the designated corner kick taker here for Phoenix. Whether it's him or Quaisho, both have been fairly quality at it. Maybe they'll find the target. Right hand to the sky, white tape around the wrist of Avayevu, serving to the center of the box, headed away by Guzman. Very active defensively tonight. Lots of work on the way for the center back through the middle. Only as far as Colin Smith at the half line, who sits in the center of the park and moves it back for Saint, and all the way back for Smith again. Smith playing now on the left, almost as a center back, as the shape slowly shifts for Phoenix. Montgomery on the left moves back to the center of the park for Asenge, who moves all the way back to the right for Saint. More waiting feet, more slow play, trying to break those lines. Avayevu, far side touchline, moves it off the left, moves it back to the right. Noble Okello takes a quick touch and breaks it into the final third. Can he find Rivera? Rivera slowly but surely as he tries to find the 18-yard box. One touch, two touch, fancy football. Only as far as Derek Formella, and now a chance on the counter here for number 7 and Rebelar of Monterey Bay, breaking the half line and now going all the way into the final third. Chased there by Braxton Montgomery and Derek Formella, who get all the way back and stop the counter. Brilliant defending there from Braxton and Formella, who go all the way out of position, but they do it just in time and snuff out what would have been a potential quality chance for Monterey Bay. 9th minute, still 0-0. Monterey playing it back for Guzman again, and some slow, careful work probably on the way for Campuzano. If Isan Sako keeps chasing, he's been extremely active tonight. Fair gives way for Guzman, and Fair receives it once back again through the middle of the pitch. A long splitting ball up and over the top, trying to find the waiting run of Rebelar and Ivanovic. Elijah Paul settles on the left far side touchline. Can he find a cross? One low driven into the box. Asenge slips but gets a foot to it. Settled there by Braxton Montgomery and Colin Smith, who sends it straight to the center of the park. Monterey Bay retains. Center of the park again. Guzman lays off there for Ivanovic and crew. It's Moby Fair and Nico Gordon Far side touchline. Monterey loses it again. Braxton Montgomery, the 18-year-old, settles it on the far side and sends it back for Rakowski. Third touch of the night. A right-footed ball to the waiting feet of Asenge, who's quickly pressured by Moby Fair, but lays it back off for waiting crew of Damian Rivera, who darts into the center of the park. And can he break the line again? Beats one. Can he beat two? Lays it off for instead Braxton Montgomery. Hope Avayevu makes a quick line. Isan Sako looking to release. Instead, to the left half space for Formella. He has space to break the 18. Here comes a cross on the way. Snuffed out again by Monterey. Waiting feet for them as well. Montgomery keeps the ball. Avayevu calling for on the near side touchline. Instead goes back for Skierce. Finally finds Hope Avayevu. We'll just move it back again for Montgomery. More slow, settled play for Phoenix. 11th minute, 0-0. Trying to find their chance. A poor touch from Okello goes past the half line, and Rakowski's 45 yards out of his box now. Moves it for Asenge. Breaks the line again. Noble Okello. Back to the center backs. Saint. Couldn't quite find Montgomery on the near side. Instead opts to move it back and finds Montgomery on the second time. Breaks one. Can he break two? Finds Formella. Formella, top of the 18. Sako, top of the box. Can he find Colin Smith? Right side of the box, trying to find that far post. Darts centered and squared away. Another corner on the way for Phoenix.
And another good build-up by Phoenix, too, because they're pushing down that near side, but they're working in towards the left half space and in towards the center. That's a smart play by Braxton Montgomery to push Darius Formella towards that area so he doesn't have to cross it in. It allows those short passes to roll in, and then Smith or whoever taking that cross in from the right-hand side so you can get a corner kick.
A slow walk to the corner there. It's the far corner again for Hope Avayevu. Loves to pump up the crowd when he goes to take that corner kick. Sets it to the right of the flag. Lots of wind. 22-mile-an-hour gusts. Can he beat it with a right-footed ball? One arm to the sky. Sends it to the center of the box, trying to find the far post. It's loose in the center of the box, kept alive by Asenge, and finally cleared by Monterey. This one will trickle out near Jordan Stewart, the head man for Monterey Bay in his first full year with Monterey. 43 years old, over 200 appearances professionally stateside and over in Europe, 69 Premier League appearances, and so far a 6-8-10 record as the gaffer of Monterey Bay, trying to lead them to the promised land and finally find some postseason success. They haven't had much at all in franchise history through a rebrand before and after. Avayevu finds Rivera, who can't quite get to the end line. It was a fairly played ball by Avayevu's right foot, but just a few feet too long for Damian. Watches it go out of bounds. It'll be Campuzano who walks it to the center of the box, lays off for Guzman again, and we'll see if Campuzano takes the initial kick from the goal. 13th minute, 0-0.
Another interesting play, too, by Rising because they want to get out towards that right side for Damian Rivera. And it was a good ball played in by Avayevu. We've seen him sit back a little bit more today, playing in that 10 role. So it's going to be him more distributing the ball, if you will, than trying to push forward and get some shots.
Gaderi gets dispossessed on the far touchline, but Monterey keeps it in bounds. Finally, Guzman is the one to settle, but Avayevu and crew, JP Skierce is there to settle the ball. Sako, far side, trying to find a cross. Another dive there from Monterey. They have been so good at stopping those in-swinging balls, whether in open play or on the set pieces. Monterey gets away again. Another goal kick for Campuzano and crew. Still 0-0 in the 14th minute. Phoenix hasn't had a chance, but they feel like the aggressor through the first 14.
Yeah, they most certainly do, and they're trying to drive down the flanks like we talked about in the pregame, especially on that right-hand side, and we're starting to see Damian Rivera really carve out a niche for himself there. We saw him do that on the left multiple times this season, but for a true winger, you got to be able to show up in both situations.
A long ball over the top finds the left foot of Braxton Montgomery. No one in the area besides Fonguk and crew deep in the half there. Adrian Rebelar as well. No one got a foot to it for Monterey. More possession for Phoenix. Long ball over the top for Noble Okello, trying to find the run of Colin Smith. Basically got to the attacking 18, parallel to it, and watch it go out of bounds. That's Colin Smith's game, whether it's running from one side of the pitch to the other to take a throw-in or a set piece or anything. This guy runs marathons, whether it's in the run of play or not. Busts along every time he has a chance to, extremely high octane, and rarely misses a minute. Campuzano plays a long ball over the top to the near side touchline, finds the wetting head of, well, not Braxton Montgomery, but Braxton thought he had a chance, instead sends a left shoulder into big number 22. That's Joel Garcia on the near side touchline. A foul committed there by Braxton. The 18-year-old will jog away, and the center referee tonight, Trevor Wiseman, sets this one apart. Near side referee, Chris Scherfranz. Far side referee, William Afton. And the fourth official tonight is Mark Novosel. 15th minute, still 0-0. Campuzano in front of his net. Sacco gives a little bit of pressure and finally laid up into the middle of the pitch for Moby Fair. Fair has nowhere to go but to the right for Fonguk. Fonguk to the near side touchline, finds the waiting feet. Big number 22, that's Joel Garcia again. Fonguk all the way back to the center for Nico Gordon, the captain tonight for Monterey Bay. Gordon plays back for Fonguk. More one-touch football in the center, but it's not going anywhere for Monterey. Gordon trying to find something on the left, half space, moving from right to left. Can't quite get there, instead lays off again. Ball finds the feet of Nico Gordon. For the 5th time in this set of possession, Campuzano, more pressure, just plays a small skipped ball over the top to the far side touchline, who finds nothing. A throw-in on the far side in the attacking half here for Phoenix. Colin Smith will jog over and put 2 hands to the ball, probably a throw-in for him as well. The far side touchline, about 7 or 8 yards away from the timeline here. Phoenix trying to finally find a chance. Besides that Avayevu sitter in the front of the net. Colin Smith plays for Damien, who plays one back for Smith again, and finally finds the feet of his center backs again. We haven't talked about them in a moment. Asenge back to Saint, who finds Formella on the near side, breaking towards the center of the park. Ops back for Saint again. Rakowski far outside of his net. He might get involved at some point. Montgomery, near side touchline, breaks the line of one. Can he find a pass? Ops back. Avayevu makes a small run. Still can't find him. Braxton Montgomery stays on the ball, finds Saint. Saint, the captain, skips the line, finds Avayevu. Still near side touchline, moving backwards. Breaking the timeline is Asenge, center of the park, moving right to left. Avayevu finds Rivera. Rivera trying to find Smith. More fantastic waiting play for Monterey. That time, the waiting feet of Moby Fair again. And they send it up and over for another throw-in on the far side. This time, more central here for Phoenix, but once again, here, nothing going for Monterey.
Yeah, nothing going for Monterey in the attack, but defensively they're doing really well. They're waiting out those through balls when other teams would be caught ball watching, especially on those through balls trying to get towards the 18. Monterey's center backs, credit to them, Guzman and Gordon, they're really waiting for those chances, and Monterey now wants to get those types of opportunities on the attack going forward, and they want to really spread out the wings.
Trying to spread out their wings. Monterey wins a foul in the attacking half near the center of the park. Played back for Gordon, who finds the feet of Guzman, and playing back and forth up and over the timeline. Back and forth they go. Instead, they opt back for their goalkeeper again. Nico Campuzano, adorned in bright yellow tonight. Campuzano plays all the way back for Gordon, who finds Guzman again. Right to left action for Monterey Bay. Near side touchline. Finds Ivanovic, who finds Gordon again. Gordon moving left to right now, breaking the timeline, trying to get past Hope Avayevu. Can't quite get there, stops about a foot short of making it over the half line. Maybe Fonguk can. Instead, it goes back for Gordon, moves from his left foot to his right, and it's back for Campuzano again. 19th minute, still 0-0. Phoenix, no chances. Monterey, not a whole lot of action going in the attacking third, but nobody's really making a move. Gordon decides to split a line. Finally, one-touch football up and over the near side touchline. Ruled a foul in the attacking half for Monterey. And now they'll get a free kick. A little too far to deem it a set piece. They'll probably play this one openly. 19th minute, still 0-0. Center referee Trevor Wiseman will sort this one out again. No yellow comes out of the pocket here, but warning the waiting players of Phoenix, who have had a few fouls called their way so far. Play restarted. Guzman receives behind the timeline, moves it to the center of the park, and they find Gordon again. Can't quite find that final third. A line-splitting ball broke off there by J.P. Skiers, but Isan Sacco slips. Center of the park, moves it all the way to the far touchline over the head of everybody, and another throw-in, this time in the defensive half for Phoenix. 20th minute on the way, still 0-0, nothing going for either side.
We were wondering going into this game, Kevin, how was Monterey going to line up? And we were talking about that 4-4-2. They really try to hone in on that in some regards, sometimes move to a 4-3-2-1. They really want to try to keep up this defensive shape and really save for that Revelar chance where he got into the attacking third. That's really been the only real chance for Monterey today.
Monterey trying to make a little bit more noise. They scored in the 3rd minute the last time these two teams played earlier in the year. That was on the road for Phoenix. They played at Cardinelli Stadium in the midst of a 3-1 battering on the heels of 2 red cards, one for Pop Marboy, one for the captain tonight, Carl Fred Saint, who will look to play the full 90, at least he hopes. Noble Okello plays back for Asenge deep in their defensive half. Asenge slowly walks the ball up, and the defensive shape of Monterey just shifts back. They're willing to let him take space. They move it back for Rakowski, who moves it to the left for Saint. The captain, trying to find the timeline, finds number 10, Avayevu, who moves it back for Saint, who almost gets fouled through the back, but moves it back for Rakowski again. In front of the mouth of his net, Asenge, 21st minute, 0-0. Phoenix and Monterey Bay, 38th and Washington, quiet so far. Something needs to ignite this crowd on out-of-school night. Fairly large one. The Banditos have gone quiet as well. Avayevu loses it in the middle of the pitch. Plays back for Ivanovic, who finds the waiting feet of Guzman, but it's a poor pass, and Guzman has to give a little bit of chase, and Campuzano lets it go all the way back. The goalie motions out for Nico Gordon, who takes the ball and moves it for Van Guk on the left. Van Guk slowly waiting, but nobody there. Center of the park for Ivanovic. Van Guk. Guzman. Left to right. Gordon calls for it. He receives. Formella on the press. Through the center. Ivanovic back for Gordon. Gordon on the chase. Moves from right to left into the left half space. Guzman. Avayevu trying to break off this pass. Long skipping ball up and over the top. From left to right, lost in that right half space, and two bodies tumble to the ground, but play on, rules Wiseman. Center referee says nothing there. They find Fair. Fair breaking the final third. Can they find a chance? Moving it from right to left. Can they find the foot of Ivanovic all the way out near the corner flag? A throw in deep in the defensive half for Phoenix. Monterey just disjointed in the final third. Still 0-0, 22nd minute. Throwing on the way for Phoenix.
And it seemed a little unnecessary from Fair. You could have played it out towards the right-hand side, played it right in towards the middle. They were doing a really good job playing direct there, Monterey, which is something we haven't seen a lot today. And Fair instead tries to whip it out towards the far side, and maybe Ivanovic can reset, but it seemed like there was a little bit of too much energy on that play.
Phoenix plays it deep in their own half. And perhaps a foul there called off the ball. Instead, they just change it. The ball boy exchanges balls with Colin Smith on the far side touchline deep in the defensive half for Phoenix. A long throw in for the chest of Sacco, who nods it down, but only as far as Guzman, who finds Gordon again deep in their own half, moves it over the timeline. Far side touchline. Feet of Ivanovic. Off the left, Gaderi, and they lose it out of bounds, but it looks like another throw in on the way for Monterey Bay. 23rd minute, still 0-0. Throw in ruled for Phoenix. Colin Smith, two hands over his head, finds Rivera. Rivera tries to split two, gets fouled in the process, hits the turf. And 23rd on the way. 0-0, 38th in Washington, quiet. You can hear a pin drop, it feels like right now.
Definitely, that's what happens, especially when your team hasn't been attacking for so long, Kevin. I mean, Monterey has really taken over some sorts of possession right now, and they've been really driving it towards Phoenix Rising. Over 45% possession right now for Monterey against a Phoenix side that loves holding possession, especially here at home, and they want to try to get those attacking moments when they can.
Elijah Paul, his name not called nearly enough tonight. Not enough action in the final third for him to get any service. Skierce breaks the half line. Damian Rivera gets shoved to ground as he tries to break one. Foul ruled on Monterey Bay. And a quick free kick coming near the half line here for Phoenix. They'll probably play this one openly. Referees tonight adorned in very, very bright green. Center referee Trevor Wiseman sorts this one out. Rising move it back for Rakowski, who finds the waiting feet of Saint. Saint, near side touchline to the left. That's Formella. Shielding off Joel Garcia. Garcia can't quite get there, and Formella with some crafty moves. Moving laterally, but not vertically. Nothing there. Saint going backwards. Rakowski waiting in front of net. Instead, they find Asenge. Left to right. Asenge back for Saint. Saint off the left foot, nods it down, pushes it over. Braxton Montgomery near side touchline, breaks one. Surging into the center of the park. Formella might try to make a run here. Montgomery switches play. Noble Okello off his left foot. Loses it. Moves back for Campuzano. Monterey Bay still sharp in defense. Noble Okello gives chase, and Campuzano has to move it out, and they might lose the ball. Instead, it finds the far touchline in the feet of Ivanovic and crew, who find Campuzano again. This time it's Sacco on the chase. Sacco puts a foot out, can't quite get there. Near side touchline here for Garcia. Garcia with the right foot moves it down for Gordon. And Van Guk. Van Guk finds Gordon. Near side touchline, Montgomery nods this one out. Throw in on the near side touchline for Monterey, deep in their defensive half. 25th minute. Still 0-0.
And Pablo Ducas, if he wasn't already, he is off the water cooler. He's at the edge of his coach's box right now. he officially is telling his team that this is pressure time, right? You want to try to stick your leg out and try to cause that turnover in the attacking third.
Nico Gordon restarts play here quickly for Nico Campuzano and crew. Guzman finds the far side touchline. Guzman receives it again. Right-footed ball over to Campuzano. Slowly walking up into the 18, but moves it again for Guzman. Sacco still extremely feisty on the press. Moves it back for Campuzano again. It feels like they can't get out of this half. Campuzano, long ball on the way, up and over the top. Only as far as the waiting head of Asenge, who finds the long outstretched run of Saint. Rakowski lets it go for Saint on top of their own 18. Asenge moves it back for Saint. Center back to center back. Right to left. Near side touchline. Montgomery. A right-footed pass back for Saint. This time in the area, it's Adrian Rebelar, who's been good at shutting off this left half space here defensively for Monterey. Flicked along for the waiting feet of Formello, who loses it to Fonguk and crew. Fonguk lays off to Ivanovic and Fair. Fair on the right side, looking to find a cross deep in the attacking third. Near side touchline, back for Fair again. Fair trying to find the center, can't quite get there. Fonguk, chased by Avayevu, finds Nico Gordon, the captain, with the right-footed pass to the center of the park. Moby Fair surging. Can he find the final third? Noble Okello shuts off the angle, and they move it back for Guzman again, this time up and over the timeline, far side touchline. Gaderi, back for Ivanovic. Center of the park. Fair with the right-footed ball. That time it's Ivanovic in the center of the park. Moves it back for Gaderi. Nowhere to go. Noble Okello, the 6'5 frame, is shutting down everything, it feels like. Nico Gordon, a right-footed touch. Center of the park there for Fair. Fair moves it back for Gordon. Sacco is still in the face of every defensive action. Guzman, a line-splitting ball. Moby Fair. Final third. Here comes Monterey Bay. A strike on the way. Rakowski didn't even need to get near it. It looked like that was probably Luka Ivanovic. Moved it far post. Low driven, not a lot on that one. Rakowski dove, but didn't need to touch it. It's a goal kick in the 28th minute on the way here. 0-0, Phoenix at home. Still nothing knocking for either team.
And that was the first shot of the day, and Ivanovic, again, just had to take his chance from 25 yards out. Wasn't the best touch, had to play it off the bounce, and just couldn't get anything towards goal, if you will. And so far for Rakowski, it's been a relatively calm day for him because his side has been really up front and trying to press, especially in the midfield and especially in the attacking third for Rising. And for Monterey, they really don't have too much options because Rising is playing so compact in the middle part of the pitch.
Compact play ruling both sides, it feels like. Avayevu in the right half space moves back for Asenge. Center of their own half. Asenge breaking the half line. Long splitting ball up and over the top for the run of Sacco. It's booted away there by Guzman. Corner kick on the way for Phoenix. That time, Carlos Guzman, their center back tonight, off the left. The 30-year-old from Mexico played for San Diego Loyal before this. For the last 5 games, he's gone all 90 minutes, and that was a quality stop. Sacco just 6 or so inches away from getting a foot to the ball and likely a very high-quality chance on net. Avayevu treks over to the far corner here. Another corner kick on the way for Phoenix. The yellow boots, very, very bright for Hope Avayevu. That white tape that has sort of gone in and out of style for Hope. At one point, it was all the way down his forearm. Now it's just sort of around that thumb and the upper part of the hand. Right arm to the forehead. Waiting for the center referee's whistle. Trevor Wiseman sorts out some contact in the box. Avayevu has the all good. There's the whistle. Avayevu, right-footed ball on the way. Trying to find that far post and the target, JP Skierce. Right-footed ball on the way. Center of the box headed away by Guzman. Only as far as Asenge, who's going to watch this one trickle out of bounds. A throw-in in the attacking half for Phoenix. 29th minute, still 0-0. Can somebody find anything in the first half? Colin Smith, center of the park. Asenge, back for Smith, moving backwards again. Phoenix going back more than they are forward. The key so far for both teams. Montgomery in the left half space, center of his own defensive half, finds a switch of play for Colin Smith on the right. Smith breaks the half line. Line splitting ball for Sacco. One-touch football for Avayevu, who finds the run of JP Skierce through the middle, and Noble Okello off the back heel. Couldn't quite center it. or get anything on it to stop the ball. Nico Campuzano has absolutely nothing to do. Noble Okello misses on what could have been a big chance. 30th minute, 0-0.
Yeah, Noble Okello again, 6'5". I mean, you would think his presence is omnipresent on this pitch, but he was just behind Gordon, didn't really catch the run of him, and it was just behind Okello, if you will.
Sacco wins it back on the far side touchline. Hard foul there on the other side of the pitch. Sacco goes to ground extremely hard. He flew in the air there. Physio won't come on. The number 9 quickly hops up. Sacco's had a fantastic career overseas. He's done a lot in his 27 years. He comes from Alfortville, France. He played for FC Thun, Strasbourg, and Nice. Lots of high-quality time over in Ligue 1 in France, one of the best leagues in the world. Now makes his way to the second-tier stateside, trying to recoup some of that value in his physical prime. So far this year, he has a goal and 4 assists. He's second in the race for the Golden Playmaker in the championship. Can't tell you the last time somebody from Phoenix has won that, if ever. Maybe he'd be the first. 31st minute, 0-0. Avievu to take a free kick, 15 yards off to the right of the 18-yard near post. Campuzano directs a 2-man wall right in front of the waiting feet of Hope Avievu. 32nd minute, Trevor Wiseman is going to call this one off for just a moment. Lots of whistles here trying to move. Looks like Isan Sacco, someone else out of the way. It's Rebelar and Garcia in front of the ball. Here comes the whistle. Avievu 2 steps behind the ball, a right-footed in-swinger into the center of the box. Ahead to it from Noble, but nothing else there. Elijah Paul gives chase and keeps it in bounds, but it goes out. And a throw-in in the attacking third. Near side touchline for Rivera. Throws 2 hands over his head back for Saint, who is instantly pressured by Adrian Rebelar. Rebelar shot out of a cannon. Center of the park, Colin Smith. Back for Saint. Left half space. A right-footed pass over for the waiting feet of Asenge, who's pressured again there at the half line. Monterey Bay, a little inspired press. Avievu, center of the park, almost loses it, but JP Skeers cleans it up, and Colin Smith is there in the center of the park as well. Left-footed pass over to the left half space here for Rivera. Rivera only has 1 to beat. Can he break the line? Moves to his left, some crafty footwork, shakes one, headed away. Still nothing going. Top of the box here. Colin Smith lays off for Okello, who takes a heavy, heavy touch. And Asenge spins in the air, still in the possession of Phoenix. Sacco gives a chase. And looked like a whistle at one point. Monterey tries to clear, finds the feet of Fair. Far side touchline, Sacco watches it go out of bound. Another throw in on the far side touchline, deep in the attacking third here. Sacco lays off for Avievu, who gives it back for Sacco in one-touch football, trying to replicate that performance that they saw Rhode Island give them at home in the second fixture of the year. That was a draw, 2-2 in front of the home side. They wanted that one back. Can they do it this time in front of a slowly but surely filling out crowd here on Out of School night? Pushing to play by Colin Smith. Colin Smith lays off for Sacco, who tries to find a cross into the center of the box. It's parried away by Campuzano. Sacco had, it looked like JP Skeers on the far post, but Campuzano at the ready, boots it away. 2 hands to the ball, and another corner on the way. Far side for Hope Avievu, 34th minute, still 0-0.
And that's a nifty play by Sacco. That's what you get when you have a number 9 that can also play towards that right wing. He understands when he receives the ball back to goal, and he can spin around. He understands what half turns are all about and trying to get away from it. That was a nifty move by Sacco to create this chance.
Avievu, right-footed outswinger on the way to the far post. It finds the foot of JP Skeers, who puts it over the crossbar. Nowhere near. But he got a boot to it, and there's a player down. It looks like Elijah Paul for Monterey holding the left ankle in the 34th minute here. He went to ground pretty hard there. Looks like he might have taken a boot from JP Skeers on the shot. Helped up there by, looks like, Fanguk. Paul will walk this one off and charge back to the top of his line, trying to find some service in the final third. He's been quiet tonight. Laid off for Guzman. Goal kick on the way for Monterey. Campuzano moves to the right for Gordon. A right-footed touch to the center of the park. Near side for Joel Garcia, pushed away by Formella, but Garcia regains possession. Finds Moby Fair. Near side touchline. Noble Okello still on the chase. All the way back near their 18-yard box. Nico Gordon finds a line-skipping ball up and over the top, trying to find the waiting body of Elijah Paul. And that time, Carl Fred Saint goes right through the back. Foul ruled against Phoenix. Free kick on the way in the defensive half for Monterey. They play back for Gordon. A right-footed pass for Fonguk in the center of the park. Sacco lets that one roll. Guzman out to the left. Guzman back for Gordon again. Left to right action, right half space. About 20 yards out from the 18. Centered up for Fair. A poor touch, almost taken out by Sacco. All the way back for Campuzano. The goalie moves out left for Guzman again. More Sacco action defensively. Here comes Avayevu streaking to the top of the box, but Gordon gets out of the pressure. Gordon moves it to the left, finds Guzman again. Long ball up and over that top and the far side touchline over everybody's head, and more bodies hit the ground. Phoenix and Monterey both. It's a throw-in about halfway through that attacking half for Monterey. Far side. Taken quickly, back for Fair, all the way for Guzman, and more pressure, but Phoenix fouls in the defensive half. Far side again, about 6 or 7 yards away from the half line. They'll play quick. Guzman, center of the park there for Gordon. Gordon with a little bit of space finally takes it. Finds a line-splitting ball for Fair. Fair off the right foot. Noble Okello there to snuff it out. Finds the waiting run of Rebelar. Rebelar into the center of the box, up and over everybody's head. Across that, was over the crossbar pretty much the entire time here. Nothing there. 36th minute, still 0-0.
Might have carried over, especially because the wind is rolling in that direction. It's these half chances by Monterey, Kevin, that are just really troubling Rising, if you will. Not really troubling, more teasing Rising, because Rising has been so in front of the ball, but on the other side, they just haven't been able to find the back of the net, which is why it's so important that they're able to really look at all of these Monterey plays.
Throw in deep in the defensive half for Smith. A long throw in knotted along by Avayevu, who tries to find the feet of Sacco, who loses it. In Monterey now deep in the attacking half. They finally break the final third, and here comes Elijah Paul and crew. Booted away there by the waiting feet of JP Skierce. Far side touchline. We'll see who won that one. And Phoenix retains possession. Long switching ball here. Darius Formella waits back, but instead it's shouldered down there by Garcia. Garcia loses it only for Formella, who finds the waiting foot of Noble Okello. Near side touchline. Braxton breaks the half line. Sacco. Can he find the final third? Crafty footwork. The Frenchman almost slips 2 lines. Can't quite get there. A foul there right on top of the box. Noble Okello. Looks like he took Rebelar to ground. Monterey win a free kick deep in their defensive half. Rebelar's a little shaken up, grabbing that right hip. Trevor Wiseman will have a quick chat with Carlos Guzman, who's going to plead his case for maybe a caution to come out of the pocket. And now Wiseman reaches towards his pec, but won't take anything out. Guzman still a spirited discussion. A quick restart likely on the way for Nico Gordon and crew, just about 3 yards in front of his 18. Towards the right, moves it to the left half space. Sacco on the chase again. Guzman moves back for Campuzano. More settled play in the 38th, and it's still 0-0 with no real chance for either side. Long ball over the top. Colin Smith heads it away up to the touchline board. Throw in the attacking half for Monterey. Nobody there to take it. They restart quickly. Gordon, center of the park, moves out for Guzman. Guzman, left half space, trying to find the final third. Elijah Paul waiting. Paul, left half space, breaking the 18. Cross perhaps on the way. Damien Rivera there to try to put some pressure down. Moby Fair, can he find the top? Top of the 18, Avayevu manages to get it free. Still nothing there. Feels like half chance after half chance. Monterey wins it back. Top of the box, trying to find the near post. It looks like Moby Fair has a chance, but it's headed away by Asenge. Fonguk, top of the 18. Fair pushed away. Avayevu, a spirited chase for the ball. Still nothing going for Monterey. Far side touchline. Fonguk to the left of the 18. Makes a crafty move. Can he find some service? Pushed out. Corner on the way for Monterey. 39th minute. Crafty work there from Fonguk. Turns into a corner kick opportunity for Monterey Bay. Elijah Paul in the attack, looking to finally get something on the ball and maybe something in the back of the net.
And a good chance by Monterey too, pushing towards the end line, something we haven't seen a lot of today.
Looks like it'll be Fonguk to take. Left corner flag in the attacking half for Monterey. He'll reach down and readjust his shin guards while Trevor Wiseman sorts out some extracurricular activity in front of the net. The 18 extremely lively so far between the two teams. Both want to get something going. 40th minute. Corner on the way. Fonguk A left arm to the sky and a right-footed ball to the far post. Finds no one. 40th, 0-0. Phoenix and Monterey, nothing there on the corner, as has been the story of the match. Saint moves it quickly to the near side touchline in the defensive half for Braxton. Braxton to the center of the park. Noble loses it. Only as far as fair. Finding the center of the park. Guzman. Far post, headed down by Montgomery. Only as far as Joel Garcia. Formella finds a little chase and gets fouled in the process. Joel Garcia pushes Darius Formella to ground in the 41st. And a free kick in the defensive half for Phoenix.
And those are the type of scrappy plays you want to see out of your forwards, just like Darius Formella, really trying to fight for the ball, trying to win that possession back so you can get a counterattack going forward. Because over these past 5 minutes or so, Kevin, it's once again been Monterey with most of the ball, and they're trying to drive down the channels and get any type of chance, and Rising's just not letting them.
Looking for a chance. Saint plays for Asenge, moving left to right, deep in their defensive half. A small surge from Asenge, snuffed out quickly by the waiting feet of Elijah Paul, who's putting on just enough pressure to shut off the angles. And Asenge has to move for Saint again. 41st, 0-0. Near side touchline, a skipped along ball for Avayevu, finds the waiting right foot of Formella. Formella loses it there to a crew of Monterey Bay. The Crispin Kelp swarming now. Campuzano in front of his net, Sacco on the chase. Center of the park. Braxton Montgomery finds a right foot on the ball and pushed to ground as Formella. No foul ruled there by the official, and Formella gets right back up. Gets another foot to the ball, still no foul. Avayevu skipping to the box for the right foot of Sacco! Over the crossbar. No foul 2 or 3 times in a row. Turns into a lackadaisical chance for Phoenix. Avayevu chipped over the top of 2 or 3 defenders. Sacco puts a right foot to a ball that finds nothing but air, the woodwork, the only thing in the area, and couldn't find that either. 0-0, 42nd. Ball goes over the stands. No souvenir for anyone in the stands. Maybe somebody on the concourse. Guzman on the restart. Campuzano, right sole on the ball, pushes out for Guzman to the left. Who has to find Campuzano? Story of the game. Fanguk now playing as the center back for a moment. Gordon moved out to the right. The captain slowly but surely shifting out. Nico Gordon, the North Texas product. He has 9 starts this season through 9 games played. Didn't play last week against Rhode Island, got a little bit of rest. Noble Okello puts a boot to a ball. Can't find anybody but Monterey. Crispin Kelp moves out for Joel Garcia. One-touch football. Finds the run of big number 28 there. That's Gaderi. Gaderi loses it to Saint. Saint in the defensive half moves back for Asenge. Asenge doesn't let Rakowski put a foot to the ball. He moves it centrally out to the right. Colin Smith breaking the half line again. A right-footed ball to Sacco. Far side touchline, has to turn back. Sacco turns around, spins, surging into the final third. Can he get through 2? He can't quite get there. Elijah Paul, some crafty footwork, gets away from Avayevu, but Avayevu gets fouled on top of the box. And out comes a caution from Wiseman's pocket. We'll see who that gets ruled to, but it looks like it might have been Ivanovic. Either way, a foot takes Avayevu to ground, and now a dangerous free kick about 26 or 27 yards away from the mouth of the goal, slightly to the right of the near post. We'll see if Avayevu comes to take. Avayevu hunched over, grabbing his knees. He's not on the ground, but might be gassed or potentially just talking with Asenge about what they plan to do here. Avayevu stands up. It's Saint the near man. Colin Smith back near the center of the park, not all the way there. Montgomery shaded about 5 yards on top of the 18. A 3-man wall is all that separates Avayevu and Campuzano from meeting. The ball on the way, napkins flying onto the field. A right-footed ball to the center of the box. It finds no one. Monterey lets this one trickle out for a goal kick. Campuzano apt to let that one go. Number 1 for Monterey rolls another one out. Nothing there probably the most valuable opportunity that Phoenix had, and it finds nothing but air.
It could have been direct, it could have been indirect, Kevin, and Avievo decides to go indirect and try to get his tall trees in towards the area, really trying to trouble the six. But when you're in that area, you really have to just hedge yourself down and get the best chance you can, and Rising didn't really have enough space to do that.
Not enough space to do anything there. Long ball from Campuzano finds the far touchline, and a forehead of Noble Okello, who pushes it out of bounds and a throw in the defensive half on the far side for Monterey. Wiseman will say, move that one back a little bit. Long throwing up and over the top. Hold up play from Elijah Paul. Can he quite get there? Instead, two bodies dragged to ground and a foul ruled against Monterey, it looks like. Perhaps a free kick in the defensive half for Phoenix. 45th minute. We'll see how much stoppage time is on the way in a 0-0 battle. Just 1 minute. 60 seconds on the watch here for Phoenix and Monterey. Still 0-0. Phoenix looking to avoid the double for the second year in a row against the Crisp and Kelp, while also trying to notch their third win of the season. Trying to find 9 points in the win column and move up above the playoff line for the first time all year. Monterey sitting at second in the West. Trying to do something special. 4-4-2 this year. Long ball from Rakowski finds nothing but a Monterey Bay shoulder. Might have been fair. Throw in for Phoenix. Colin Smith to Avievu, trying to get free. Fanguk is the man who does. Monterey settled possession. About 15 seconds on the way. We'll see when that third whistle comes out. Elijah Paul finds a skipped ball and all the way through, but stopped there by JP Skeers and Colin Smith. And it looks like Skeers is taking the ground at half line, and another caution out of the pocket from Wiseman for Monterey.
It's now 3 yellow cards for Monterey in this first half.
Carlos Guzman, Joel Garcia, Pierce Galloway, and now Moby Fair picks up a caution in the center of the park. 4 yellow cards so far for Monterey, 0 for Phoenix. A clean, disciplined night here through 45. We've crossed the 46th minute into the 47th. Probably the last kick of the ball on the way from Avievu, who ushers everyone forward. He's about 10 yards to the right of the center of the park. Ball basically placed on the half line. Long ball. We'll see if anybody can get something to it. Played short for Colin Smith, who plays short again for Avievu. Is anything going to come from this? Right-footed ball up and over the top. Finds no one. Trickles over the end line. 2 whistles and a point to the center. It's 0-0 after 45 minutes of play between Phoenix and Monterey. Nothing from either side. It feels like it could be level, but not for the right reasons. 51% possession for Monterey, 49 for Phoenix. This one split straight down the middle. 4 shots for Phoenix, just 1 for Monterey, but it feels like, Mahir, that nobody's really had a chance.
Yeah, nobody has, because they're either stuck in right when they get into the attacking third or in the midfield, and everybody's just reading each other's lines. Both defenses are doing a really good job at just trying to really compact the space, make this game as direct as possible. And so when it gets out towards the wings, when a cross rolls in, it's simply put, just cleared away. And even though Rising has had some good chances, especially with Sacco and Avievu trying to get those direct shots, it hasn't been enough. And I think if you're Pamoroka, you're going into that locker room saying we should be up 1-0 or 2-0 right now. So when you get towards the second half, you have to get those chances back.
Well, the numbers say that Phoenix has had a little more of a chance. That Avievu opportunity towards the right of the box in just the 3rd minute of play was ruled as a okay chance, 0.2 in terms of expected goals. That's more than the 0.02 for Monterey Bay through 45. They have just 1 shot, none on target, but 50% of the ball, they've ruled the lion's share, but it's not enough for either side to bag a goal. It's 0-0 at 38th and Washington through 45 minutes between Phoenix Rising FC and Monterey Bay FC. 2 teams on 2 vastly different sides of the coin. 3 points would mean a lot to both teams for various reasons. We'll break down what we saw in the first 45, what we expect to come in the second 45 between Mahirson Haas and myself, Kevin Cardez, on Phoenix Rising's X and Facebook pages, as well as 1060 AM KDUS. We'll be back in just a moment for the Rising Radio halftime show. Still 0-0.
Zuzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app. Each day at work just dragging on. Get your sports fix on the lunch break. Join Chris Schubert and producer Evan live as they give their local perspective on the world of sports. Baseball, football, and basketball. Everything has a home on their plate. It's the lunch break with Chris Schubert, live Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060, on the KDUS 1060 app, and KDUS 1060 on YouTube.
Now we go back to the field to break down the first half action with the Rising Radio Halftime Report on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
All knotted at 0 at the half. Phoenix Rising and Monterey Bay at 38th and Washington. Phoenix looking for their first home win in too long. They haven't won a home game since September 21st of 2024. That was a 4-0 battering of San Antonio. This time Monterey comes to town after winning the first leg of this one away, one home stretch between the two teams in 2025. They had the double over Phoenix in 2024, looking to make it 4 straight wins against Rising over the last 2 years, but Phoenix has said probably not to that. Monterey has done the exact same thing. Kevin Cortez joined with Mahir Hassan for the Rising Radio Halftime Report on Phoenix Rising's X Facebook page and KDUS 1060 AM. Not a lot going on, Mahir.
Yeah, not a lot going on. I mean, you take a look at the stats, only 5 combined shots, 1 on target for Rising. And that's been pretty much it, Kevin. Not too many crosses really rolling in for either side. Monterey Bay maybe had 1 cross into the box, if you will, and that's pretty much it. Not too many shots, and if there's been any shots, it's tend to come from outside of the box, or it seems to be a half chance. It just deflects to the goalkeeper, or the cross is just rattling within the 6 or rattling within the 18. There just hasn't been much for either side for two teams that, again, could be making the playoffs for both sides. Again, a Monterey side that came into this match second in the West, Rising 10th, but you know, they win today, they could potentially be 5th, and they're back in the playoff picture. These are two teams that want to show what it's like to be a playoff caliber team, and even though the defenses have shown it, the offenses not so much.
A quick peek at the table shows Sacramento up 3-0 in their current match right now against Tulsa. That puts them at 13 points. They were one of the 4 teams squared off at 10. Phoenix Rising up to 11 right now with the current draw on the line. Colorado gets a win in the books, which means that they jump up to 11 points right now with a 1-0 lead in their current match. Lots going on across in the 97th minute for Switchbacks in Pittsburgh. Deep, heated battle there. Pittsburgh off of a U.S. Open Cup upset, the only team of any championship side to advance past the round of 32 in the Lamar Hunt U.S. Open Cup this year. Lots at stake for them, but Phoenix at home so far They haven't controlled the ball, Mike, here, but they have 4 shots compared to 1. They have the only shot on target. Avayevu has the highest quality chance all night long. They're about square pass-wise, 223 for Phoenix, 235 for Monterey. Nothing really giving there. It feels like both sides are level at this point. Do you look towards the bench for Phoenix to maybe make a change and maybe invigorate the offense?
I think you wait for the first 10 to 15 minutes just because I've been really impressed with Isan Inosako and his ability to find those half spaces and try to get some crosses in. The same can be said for Damian Rivera, who's playing on the right wing and moving towards the left, really showing his versatility on both flanks today. But one question I do have is Darius Formella. Again, a guy who likes to play on the wing. You can kind of sort of play him through the center, but it's just about finding the right guy for that type of situation. I wonder if you're going to bring him off and potentially put on a guy like Darius Johnson back on, who has found some spaces down the left wing, who can really draw those chances. Had that chance against New Mexico in the second half, and also a guy that can really show up in some big places too. Again, you take a look at Rising, you're waiting for that big moment, right? It just feels like there's going to be one big moment in this game, and whoever puts it in the back of the net, and more importantly, if it does go in the back of the net, is going to be the telltale sign of this game. And it feels like for Rising, it is a Darius Johnson type game once again. You want to try to get him down the wings, and even if he's not scoring the goal, he can try to get that play in towards the 18 and get an easy tap in.
Could possibly be maybe Jerome Margarita, who also sits on the bench right now. Didn't play against New Mexico United. He scored 1 goal in his 17 minutes against Colorado Switchbacks en route to a 1-1 draw on May 3rd. Came off with injury due to a groin strain, then returned back to the lineup but didn't play last week. Now trying to find his way back into the squad. We'll see what comes up after this. We have a little bit more, the Rising Radio halftime report. Mahirson Hassan and Kevin Cardez coming after one quick short break on Phoenix Rising's X Facebook page and KDUS AM 1060. Back in just a moment.
Zuzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
You're listening to the Rising Radio Halftime Report on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Level at 0 apiece through 45. Phoenix at home against Monterey Bay FC. A little out-of-town scoreboard for everybody before we hop back into the second 45 for second half action between the two. Hartford Athletic draw Louisville City, one of their biggest results in a very long time at home, 1-1. Charleston Battery put 4 on top of San Antonio, who couldn't get a single goal. They win 4-0 at home. Miami beats Loudoun. Potentially the biggest turnaround story of the entire championship in Loudoun United, and maybe the best player in the USL, and Abdulatif Abukora fall to Miami FC, who have been very, very poor for multiple years in a row. Big result for them as well. Tampa Bay falls 3-0 to Rhode Island at home. Colorado Switchbacks take down Riverhounds off the heels of a very, very inspiring upset for Pittsburgh. They go down 1-0 on the road to Colorado. Right now, currently going, besides the 0-0 draw between Phoenix and Monterey, we have Orange County on the heels of New Mexico. New Mexico on the road, up 1-0 at halftime. And on the other side, Sacramento at the half lead Vegas at home 3-0. Absolutely nothing going for Vegas, and they have 45 more to play. similar themes here between Phoenix and Monterey Bay, trying to find a leg up in the table. A quick look at that shows that that four-way tie at 10 points apiece has pretty much dissipated over the last 45 minutes. Orange County sits at 10 points due to the current result standing as a 1-0 loss. We'll see what happens in the second half over there. But Oakland didn't play this afternoon. They played earlier this week. They'll play New Mexico later on next week on the road. But Phoenix sitting at 11 points if the draw holds, and Colorado sitting at 11 points after they got their draw and their win, my apologies. And it's Las Vegas who have currently pulled a 3-0 loss. They sit at 12. Sacramento sits at 13. Lots of movement to come. If Phoenix were to grab 2 more points, they would hop up into 7th place above Las Vegas and above the playoff line. We'll see what happens after this. Maybe some more table drama. Hopefully some heroics on the way for Phoenix. 45 on the way, a short break. This has been the Rising Radio Halftime Report on Rising Radio. Back in just a moment.
Uzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
You let him try violin because you love him. And if you love him that much, love him enough to make sure he's buckled up and in the back seat. Find out more at nhtsa.gov/the-right-seat. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
Let's get into the action. Phoenix Rising Soccer, live now on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
A 0-0 deadlock between Phoenix and Monterey gives way to a second half. 45 minutes of action on the way between two teams, both desperate for 3 points on two completely different sides of the coin. Monterey Bay nearly atop of the Western Conference, and Phoenix trying to get above the playoff line. They haven't won at 38th in Washington in a long time. And when I say long time, I mean 228 days. It's been far too long. 3 points in front of a home crowd would mean so much for the club with a star above the crest. Monterey trying to turn a trek to the top of the mountain for themselves and earn their first title in championship history for them. One quick substitution at the half for Monterey Bay. We'll see who comes on for them in just a moment, as Phoenix will move left to right, donned in the red, and Monterey will move right to left, donned in that bright blue. Rakowski in the all-black goalkeeper kit for Phoenix, and Campuzano in the all-bright yellow for Monterey Bay. The Crispin Kelp ready for a quick restart here, and we'll see what happens in the next 45. Mahir, not a lot in the first. What has to give in the second for either team to have a chance?
I think both teams really have to find some spaces and try to find some through balls. Both teams have been really trying to work in both of those categories, and nothing's really worked, Kevin, because whenever some team has tried to put on a through ball, the other team's just been able to cut it off and, either try to get it towards the corner. They've been able to stymie the other team in both of those regards. No clear-cut chances so far.
Monterey will start with the ball. Guzman moves back to center back, left to right. Finds the waiting left foot of Guzman again. Still waiting to see who that substitution was. Elijah Paul, a shove through the back from Axel Asenge, the lone man from LA Galaxy. Signed his first-tier contract with the club earlier this year, got loaned out for the rest of the year with an option to recall, which is important to note for Phoenix. We'll see what happens there throughout the summer. Center backs are always in high demand. America loves to play a high physical, intense style of soccer, one that sort of molds to the country's identity as a whole, but one that's extremely demanding physically for the players on the pitch. Center backs in high demand, as you can see. Phoenix already missing one. Their captain, Potmar Boy, out tonight due to a knee injury. Out for probably a few more weeks. We'll see where that turns. Instead, it's Carl Saint, the Haitian international who's become a center back in wake of many injuries. Injury slew for Phoenix that they've tried to navigate. Possession in the center of the park. Fanguk for Monterey skips a line and finds the slow waiting feet there. The Monterey Bay man breaking the final third. Colin Smith on his back heels. He manages to jar it free. Ivanovic, top of the box. Fanguk back out for Galloway. Near side touchline. Ivanovic dancing with Colin Smith. Can he get it past one small foot? No foul ruled there. Noble Okello pushes it out of play. And a corner, it looks like here, for Monterey Bay.
It seemed like when Ivanovic was driving towards the end line, it might have gone out of play, and before he got a touch to it, it was deflected off a Rising player. Now all of a sudden, Phoenix Rising has to defend on their set piece. Monterey's going to have the wind to their backs, so this is going to be a nice whipping ball into the box.
Wes Von Gook with the left arm to the sky. He's wearing sleeves tonight, very bright teal. Center referee Trevor Wiseman will tell him to motion back and move the ball on the paint. Rapid whipping winds tonight, 22 miles an hour in gusts. And another pause from Wiseman. Von Gook just wants to kick the ball. Instead he can't. He'll wait. Moby Fair, the near man, traipses back into the center of the box. Left arm to the sky. Von Gook with a right-footed ball on the way. Can he find a post? Center of the box, headed away there by somebody, but it goes off the end line, and his rule of goal kick for Phoenix could have hit anybody in there. They say it's Monterey. 48th minute, 0-0. Rakowski to the center of his box. He'll place the ball to the top of it. And we'll get started. Phoenix with their first run of possession here in the second half. Asenge, near side touchline for Colin Smith. He busts along and finds Ivanovic on his back heel. Can he get past him? Pushed to ground there by Ivanovic, and a foul ruled against Monterey. Colin Smith with a quick restart. Wiseman says, no, give him a second. A whistle and a point back to the spot. And a back heel layoff there for Asenge. A little fancy footwork on a slow rolling ball. 49th, 0-0. Asenge to restart. Defensive half back for Rakowski. Stops the ball with his left foot. Over for Saint. Far touchline. Takes a heavy one. Tries to find a splitting ball. It's a poor pass. Finds Rebelar. Rebelar to the center of the park. Attacking half, but going nowhere. Von Gook. Back out to the far touchline. Still no one. Moves it back to the middle. Guzman. Near side touchline. Ivanovic. A left sole to the ball. Stops it. Moves it for Guzman again. Had the run of Gaderi. Gaderi couldn't quite get there. Von Gook. Gaderi. Big number 28. Gaderi comes from Boca Raton, Florida. He played in the first year for Algeria. A poorly played ball from Monterey, and Sacco loses it on the top of the box. Von Gook pushes it away. There was a chance for Phoenix, and Sacco hits the ground again. Nino can't quite get there, and now a counter opportunity from Ivanovic and crew. Near side touchline, Ivanovic serves to the center of the box, headed away by Asenge, only as far as big number 9, Adam Larson. He subbed on at the half, it looks like. Larson couldn't quite get anything there. Those bright green boots, it hit his right thigh. Von Gook placed to the center of the park. Some rapid, heart-stopping play turns into nothing again for either team. 50th minute, 0-0.
And it was so close for Rising, Kevin, and it was just all those players taking one extra touch on the ball or waiting 1 second for that ball to come to ground instead of taking it off the first chance. It was that close for Rising with Campuzano off of his line.
Elijah Paul hits the right shoulder of Colin Smith. Smith stands tall and pushes Elijah Paul to the ground. Not an easy man to take down, 6 foot tall and built like a tank. Colin Smith, though, no stranger to physicality. He has been a force on the back line. Guzman moves back for Nico Gordon. Back to the center of the park. Far side touchline. Monterey, can they break the third again? Rebelar moves back. JP Skierce in the area, shuts off the angle. Far side there for Huel. Pierce Galloway was the man to come off there at the half for Adam Larson. Far side, throw in deep in the attacking third for Monterey. 2 hands over the ball and a long stretching run. Here comes a cross. Formella pushes it away. Monterey got started quick, but nothing quite there. The Crispin Kelp trying to turn now a corner kick into something on the net. No shots on target so far through 52 minutes of play. 0-0 Monterey on the road against Phoenix Rising.
But the visitors have done a better job at stringing together passes in a more efficient setting. They've been really trying to get those one-time passes, playing them down the line to create more crosses, if you will. They're kind of doing what Phoenix Rising was doing in the first half.
Ball played short. Cross on the way to the far post, headed away by Asenge. He flipped it backwards. Sako, the beneficiary of the flick, top of the box, loses it for Fanguk, who sits on top of the 18 and plays for Ivanovic. Back with his right foot, finds Fanguk again, pushing slowly back 10 yards away, but now darting to the box. Colin Smith will challenge, and he'll get a foot to the ball. Sako stops it, moves it for Colin Smith on the near side touchline, who's going to just try to boot it out of play. Slid away from Ivanovic. Ruled in favor, and a throw-in for Colin Smith and crew. Big smile on number 2's face. Colin Smith has played, it feels like, every single minute for Phoenix. Quick restart off of the right foot of Ivanovic again. Another throw-in for Phoenix deep in the defensive third. Ball in the right arm of Smith. Sitting in that palm. 53rd minute. No score. Rivera, the close man. Ivanovic jars it free. Another throw-in this time for Monterey on the near side touchline. Not quite the attacking third, more so the middle. Fanguk pushes it with his right foot. Ivanovic, quick darting move. Noble Okello jars it free. Isan Sako sees a chance. Can he find Formella on the left? Formella lays off and finds the ball deep into the attacking third. Number 29 surging. Can he find the 18? Darius Formella, fancy footwork, left-footed cross on the way. Nothing but near side net, 53rd minute. And a corner kick on the way for Phoenix. In front of their home end. Can they put one in front of the Banditos?
Finally, what was a really good chance for Phoenix, and again, we saw Formella wide open in the left half space, really trying to surge towards Monterey's midway point. A lot of space there, Kevin, and that was a good chance for Rising. And again, we haven't seen those wide open passes and a chance for Rising to really counterattack. That's kind of an underrated part of this squad.
Avayevu, his right wrist taped up and pointed to the sky. 54th minute. Can Phoenix find the first? Low-driven cross finds the center of the box. It's still left there. Noble Okello turns it over the top of the crossbar. 54th, still 0-0. Noble had a chance, but it takes a deflection and another corner on the way for the yellow boots of Hope Avayevu. Can he find it this time? 5 corners so far for Phoenix. This will be the 6th. Hope places the ball back down to the spot. Another right-footed ball on the way from the boy from the Ghana. They made a little docu-series about him in the preseason, about his journey to the United States and playing professional soccer over here, whether it's for North Texas and MLS Next Pro, or now for Phoenix Rising FC in the USL Championship. A slow but sure ascent to what could be stardom at the top level. Lots left in the tank for Avayevu. Arm to the top. Right-footed ball on the way. Can he find the far post? Every head misses it. JP Skiers pushes it to ground. Nothing there. Goal kick Monterey, 55th.
Good clean header, though, but it was just a little bit too wide. And again, when you're crashing towards that near post, you're trying to flick it back, and instead they flicked it forward, and that caused it to go wide left.
Gordon in the defensive half plays a poor ball for Formella and crew. Top of the box, Avayevu charges into the 18, but jarred free once again there by Nico Gordon. Gordon, a long ball up and over the top. He'll find the waiting right foot of Carl Saint, who plays it back for Rakowski, comes outside of the 18 and plays a dangerous pass that just misses the foot of Adam Larson. Finds the far side touchline for Braxton Montgomery, who has to turn back around. Saint's waiting. Pushing a ball back for Rakowski. Not many touches tonight for him. Not much work to do in front of net. Asenge to the center of the park. Finds Noble Okello, trying to jar free from Wesley Fanguk. Instead, Monterey wins a throw-in. They're defensive half, but close to the half line there. 2 hands over the ball. Monterey with the throw. Adam Larson checks in, trying to be the near man. Long throw up and over the top. Finds a waiting right foot for Moby Fair. Fair loses it to Smith. More defensive work for Smith. 1 foot back from Noble Okello. Finds Asenge. Number 51 turns back on his heel. Ivanovic on the chase. Asenge can't quite keep it in. And a throw-in now in the attacking third for Monterey. Adam Larson, the near man. Ivanovic throws up and over. Traipses back. Gadiri. Back for the captain. Gordon. Jarred free by Noble Okello. Another throw-in on the way for Monterey. Slowly but surely pushing back away from the 18. 57th minute. Nobody scored. Deadlocked at 0. A quick point and a check there. Looks like somebody's going to tie his shoe. Probably Fanguk. Skipped ball there. Ivanovic moves it down. Elijah Paul finds Ivanovic again. Instead, the ball moves from the center back for Fanguk. Left half space. Damian Rivera can't quite snuff out the pass. Ivanovic jarred free by JP Skeers. Can they move on the counter? Avayevu receives the ball in the center of the park, surging into the attacking third. Those yellow boots moving fast. Moves out to the right for Sacco. Sacco, can he get to the 18? Moves it to the left. Formella chips into the box. Saved by Campuzano. Formella had a shot. And then the 57th, Campuzano gets a little more light work in front of the mouth of the net. The 27-year-old adds another save to his league-leading total of 34. Hasn't had to do a lot tonight, and he might lose the lead in some way, not because he's been poor, but because there hasn't been a lot of work to do in front of the nylon. Rivera wins a poor throw-in. Top of the box, moves out right. Noble Okello with his right foot, trying to serve across. Skips past one, finds two. Colin Smith, center of the box! Pushed away there by Campuzano. Can Braxton Montgomery keep it in bounds? All the way to that far corner. Ruled in favor of Monterey. A throw-in deep in their defensive half. But man, chances and knocks, but nothing opens the door for Phoenix. Still 0-0 in the 58th. A man down in front of the net for Monterey. Looks like it could be Nico Gordon. Campuzano will traipse back out and have a quick chat with Sammy Gadiri, the Florida native. Played in the top flight for Algeria. So far this year, just 5 games played and 2 starts. He went the full 90 against Rhode Island. Wasn't exactly in the squad towards the beginning of the year. His first 2 professional goals of his career, he beat Monterey Bay with. Now he plays for them. Phoenix win it in the center of the park, but now a darting run here from Monterey Bay and Kubrakovsky back on his heels. Here comes a shot opportunity. Asenge gets back in time. Asenge jars it free in the 18. Beautiful defensive work. Rebelar had a run, and in the 59th, Asenge stands tall. Now the counter comes for Sacco. Sacco left half space, breaking the half line. Center of the park, surging with the right foot. Finds a skip. There's Rivera. Can he dribble? Left foot, right foot. Moves to the top and shakes one. Can he shake two? Across? More near side net, 59th, and Rivera's on his back. Can't believe he couldn't find anything near the mouth of the goal, and in the 59th, it's still 0-0.
Just end-to-end action on both sides, but you can tell from those 2 chances. First off, with Rebelar, it was Asenge tracking back, but it was Rivera really pushing down that right-hand side, but he has the power in that situation to try to get a shot off and maybe cut it off towards his favored left foot to try to get something more on target. A tough slip for Rivera, but you can tell that Rising is the one that has the better chances right now because they're holding the ball and pushing towards the 18. It's their game to win.
Substitutions on the way for Phoenix. Jamison Ping enters the field. Noble Okello comes off, and Darius Johnson is ready now at the touchline too. We'll see who he replaces. Okello, a slow walk back to the sideline. And it looks like Johnson will replace Isan Nino Sacco. 60 minutes through, Sacco comes off. He's played a lot of football in the last 2 weeks. Perhaps that plays into why he comes off so early here. No Remy Cabral in the squad here for Phoenix tonight. So they won't replace a 9 with a 9, but they'll put out the Grenada national, number 22, Darius Johnson. He scored the 2nd goal against United last week, his first ever goal for the club. He said it was one of those moments that he probably will never forget. Comes from London. He played for FC Volendam. Has 1 goal and an assist this year through 6 appearances. This will make it 7. He had 42 appearances for Volendam. Over in the Eredivisie, 27 on the top flight, 14 starts in 2023-2024. Left professional soccer for a little bit, then went with the Rising Ballers, and in those showcase games proved enough where Phoenix said, hey, come on over to America, we want you. And over the last almost total year now, he's turned to one of those players that you love to watch. A long ball misses a few feet there for Monterey and instead lands in the foot of Braxton Montgomery. Moves back for Saint, left to right there for Asenge. A slow moving touch off the right foot there, skipping up and over the head, only finding Ivanovic. Jamison Ping in the center of the park puts a left foot to it, trying to win the duel in the middle, and he almost will. Colin Smith trying to get involved, but Elijah Paul jars it free from the 17-year-old. Number 44, Jamison Ping on the chase. 2nd ever Rising man to convert from an academy contract to a professional in club history. And he's proven exactly why. More and more stable play from him as he's appeared more as the season has slowly drug on. Just 17 years old from Minnesota. Offensive half for Monterey, snuffed out by Rivera. Rivera finds Jamison Ping moving right to the center of the park. Avayevu trying to switch the run of play. Can he find the left half space and the waiting run of Formella? Formella holds up, finds a left foot touch. Avayevu into the box. Nico snuffs it out. God, Campuzano is just so good in front of his net, so confident. A long booted ball turns into a chase and a successful one for Carl Fred Saint. The captain gives way, and Campuzano is down in front of his net. That save might have taken a toll there on the Spanish native. He comes from Lexington before this, 6'2", 27 years old, and leads the championships in saves in 2025. Second season in a row, not for Campuzano, but for Monterey Bay so far, of having the league leader in saves. Still down. We'll see if the physio comes on here for Monterey. 63rd minute, still 0-0. The extremely bright yellow jersey of Campuzano laying flat down on his back in front of the net. Finally helped up there by Guzman. And we'll look for the restart here. A huddle in the attacking third near head coach Pa Moruka, the man who speaks 7 languages and has never missed the playoffs, holds almost a 60% win percentage in his career as a head man. His point per game total through his first 10 games for North Texas, to put it in perspective, in comparison to the first 10 here, was 2.4. Barely lost a game in MLS Next Pro. Now comes over and moves up a level. Came from Charlotte. Was a lead assistant. Now he's the lead man. Jamison Ping off the restart on a pass from Asenge. Moves it down the near side touchline. Colin Smith can't quite get there. 64th minute on the way. Still nothing for either team. Somebody will try to find a goal. He's got to hope it's you. Asenge loses it to Elijah Paul, who gives it up for Larson on the near side touchline. Ruled in favor of Phoenix. Throw in near the half line for Colin Smith. Put down by the right foot of Jamison Ping. A slow pass for Avayevu. Finally slips past Moby Fair. Moves it to the left for Formella. More fancy footwork, finding the 18, finding a cross into the box. And Campuzano gets out there. Little contact to the near post and a corner on the way. Can't quite tell who went to ground, but it looks like it was Damian Rivera. 64th minute. Contact in front of the net. Avayevu goes over for the corner. Still nothing, but maybe something on this set piece.
And again, a close chance for Rising, and it was heads up by Campuzano. He realized it was still in play, decided to get a punch to it rather than just letting Rising get to the ball there.
Avayevu taking another corner, 7th of the night. Right-footed ball in swinging to the center of the box, headed away by Monterey, but only as far as Saint and Asenge. Can somebody get back to the ball? Avayevu to the left of the 18, stops on a dime, flicks it to the back post. Still nothing there. Thought he had JP Skiers, and he might have even gotten a little bit of a shoulder to it, but nothing goes. And another corner on the way, this time switching play from left to right. Avayevu will run all the way over to the other side, and in the 65th minute, take another corner kick. A look up to the sky as he has to run a marathon, it feels like, from corner to corner, places it down finally. 65th minute, Avayevu places the ball down on the spot. Colin Smith near the center of the park. So is Saint and Asenge slowly shading out. We'll see if they crash the box. Right arm to the sky. Right-footed ball to the near post. Headed away by Guzman. Monterey has to get this one clear. It's in front of the net, and it's in! Phoenix find their first. A slew of bodies in front of the nylon, and Phoenix leads 1-0 at home. 66th minute, and somebody scored.
There were a lot of tall bodies on that play, Kevin, and it was just simply just rising up and heading it over Campuzano. There were multiple bodies in that 6-yard box. I believe it might have been JP Skiers who got ahead to it and just knocked it through. It was just a simple 2 to 3 yard tap, and it's sent into the back of the net.
Did they find the target? I really hope they did. Could have been JP Skiers, could have been anybody in that little group. We'll find out quickly. It was JP Skiers. At least that's what the PA announcer thinks, and I'll trust him. Closer to that end than we are. JP Skiers puts a head to a ball, and Phoenix lead 1-0 at home. Now chasing for real 3 points in front of the home crowd. It's been a long time since this has been the case, And they almost did it against Detroit a few weeks ago. They led 2-0 heading into the 85th minute. They conceded 3 goals in 5 minutes en route to losing in front of the home crowd. They dropped not 3, not 1, all of the points. A devastating loss. Monterey on the quick restart, finding the near side touchline. They find the subman, Grant Robinson, the 26-year-old left back from Maryland. Played for Rio Grande Valley and the Toros. 6th appearance so far this year, just 4 starts. He has an assist, but he hasn't played since April 5th. Played against Detroit. First appearance in a long time for Robinson. Monterey, a throw-in, near side. JP Skeers puts a head up and over the waiting body of Rebelar. Jamison Ping trying to jar it free, and Colin Smith gets to the ball near side. Booted up and over, throw-in just over the half line for Phoenix. 67th, 1-0 Phoenix. With a foot on the gas pedal, can they push it down a little further? The only time Phoenix has won back-to-back matches in 2023 and 2024, it only happened twice in each season. Trying to make it happen for the first time in 2025, but Monterey has something to say. Center of the park, Rebelar goes down, but it's jarred free successfully by Asenge. No foul ruled there for the official. Avievu slowly rolls it back for Colin Smith on the right, who pushes back to the left foot of Asenge. Asenge back for Rakowski. Cool, calm, and collected in front of net. A left-footed pass for Asenge again. Turned around by Larson. Rakowski content to sit. Elijah Paul finally puts pressure down, and Saint plays back for Rakowski, who now has 2 bodies in front of him. Avievu, far side touchline, drops all the way back into the defensive third, and it's picked off by Monterey, but quickly jarred free for a moment. Saint wins it back for Mella. 1 touchback for Braxton Montgomery, who sends a skipping ball for Jamison Ping. Not far enough. Monterey wins it back. Robinson, left half space in the attacking half for Monterey. Asenge pushes someone to ground. It's Larson. Ruled in favor there of Monterey, and now in a dangerous opportunity for Monterey. They have a chance, let's say about 7 or 8 yards outside of the 18. Pushed to the left of the net. Rakowski with a cleat on the near post. Probably in total about 37 or 38 yards away from the net. The man to take looks like it'll likely be Sammy Gadiri, the left back, but Fonguk will track back, and after a quick sip of water, moves to the left of the ball and a shadow cast over it. Maybe it's Wes Fonguk. The right foot of big number 6 and a left arm to the sky. No wall besides Rivera, and Avievu skipped into the center of the box and headed away by Skeers. Dealt with masterfully by Phoenix. Ping gives chase to the far side touchline. Can't quite get there. A throw in the attacking third again for Monterey. Rebelar, 2 hands on the ball. Passes it back slowly. They'll opt to build. Near the center of the park for Gordon. A bad pass, jarred free by Rivera, but Guzman is going to track it back. He might have to push for Campuzano. Not too far outside of his goal, and Rivera gives more chase. Jamison Ping moving from left to right, and a slip on the near side. Jamison Ping, left foot, right foot, breaking into the 18-yard box, and a cross inside, booted away by Fonguk. Monterey wins back the ball. Jamison Ping still on the chase. Colin Smith, near side touchline. Monterey, 1-touch football, trying to get out of it. Guzman will center and send a long ball over the top. Asenge tries to put a forehead to it, but Larson gets there. Robinson and Larson gives chase, and now it looks like Saint is down. Saint grabbing at that hamstring. Jamison Ping breaks the attacking third. Play will continue, and Asenge is tending to the downed body of the Haitian. It's Carl Fred Saint, the captain. Midfielder turns center back, rolling on the ground in pain. 71st minute, 1-0, Phoenix in lead. But a center back already in a position of need. Carl's down.
It was a valiant challenge, too, by Carl. He put his left leg out, and he was fully outstretched trying to get possession, and it did go in favor of Rising. It allowed them to push forward, but Carl Saint just leaving his body on the line. A guy that's been forced to play center back after being the 6th to start off the season. It's not good for Rising from a defensive perspective.
Still on the ground. A yellow card comes out for what looks like Grant Robinson. Maybe some extracurricular activity that turns into a caution in the book. Another for Monterey, still none for Phoenix. 10 shots to 2. That's the lead PRFC has on the shot total. 5 on net, 0 still for Monterey. But 46% of the ball in favor of Phoenix. They've opted to let Monterey sit in the driver's seat when it comes to holding the football. Only 1 offside tonight for Phoenix. That's a welcome surprise. 8 corners to 3 as well. Saints still down. Physio comes all the way out. Greg Spence will check on the downed man. It's a big year, too, for Carl. Had 9 appearances with FC Dallas, his first team in Major League Soccer last year. Plays a lot, almost 20 caps now for the Haitian national team. And when they go out for Gold Cup and World Cup qualifiers, there's a lot of football to be played for Carl. Spence trying to make sure that that stays intact.
And he's a guy, too, that Pamoro Kaz really brought into this side. Again, has some experience with Ka back when both of them were at North Texas SC. You can tell after some of these games, you know, they'll have some one-on-one interactions, really talk out some of the plays, good performances, bad performances, and really break it down. He's one of the spine players for this Phoenix Rising side, and overall, when you have a spine player, you want him to be one of the best players on the pitch. You want him to be the most vocal and to be the most physical as well.
Saint slowly helped up by Colin Smith and Axel Asenge. Greg Spence will walk him over to the bench. We'll see if anybody gets ready here for Phoenix, and it looks like a long-awaited return for the magic man of Phoenix. They call Hope Avayevu their little magic man. If there's a big magic man, it might be Joel Margarita. The Curacao National has been so special for Phoenix as he readies near the touchline. Carl still can't quite get off the pitch. Clock ticking here. Greg Spence trying to help him off, but Carl is keeled over very close to that substitute table. You gotta hope Carl's okay. But it looks like he might shake this one off and head back to the shape. Maybe just as long as enough for a replacement to ready himself. Ryan Flood with that bright white cast. Perhaps the heaviest wrapping that we'll see all year on any limb for a championship player. Slowly walks out to the touchline as well. A quick restart for Smith, and Saint is up and running. We'll see if that continues. Rakowski, left foot to the ball, pressured by Paul and Larson. Larson giving Axel some trouble. Sends it up and over for the head of Ivanovic. Larson heads down, top of the box, up and over the crossbar, nothing there. I mean, that might have been as good as it gets for Monterey so far, Mahir.
Seems like it over the past 20, 25 minutes or so, and Fair, again, taking that from outside the box, and it seemed like he might have had some room to really motor forward, and that was really pretty much it, and Saint is down again.
Saint falls back to ground. He'll take off the captain's armband and slowly walk it back. It might go to Patrick Rakowski. He'll walk out. A quick word of hopefully just saying that we all hope it's okay. Carl's such an integral piece for this team. Brought in this offseason. Came with that North Texas experience, but also, like we said, those 9 first-team appearances for Dallas in Major League Soccer. One of those talents that you just feel confident about, and you hope that he's okay. Now Ryan Flood will walk onto the pitch here. That bright white cast on the right arm. Shade over. He'll move over to the left. And it looks like Braxton Montgomery might play through the center. He's played center back a few times this year. He played it against San Antonio on the road, en route to a win against the top team in the West at the time on national television. The 18-year-old, it was his birthday just a few days before that game. Still on an academy contract. Has played so much this year. Nobody expected it. 5'9" and 153 pounds from Phoenix, Arizona. 9 games, 7 starts. All 7 of those in championship play have come consecutively. 76th minute, 1-0, Phoenix in the lead. Larson boots one up and over the top. That was Grant Robinson. On the near side touchline, up and over for a throw-in near the half line for Phoenix. Colin Smith there to take. And Jurl checks in as well. Jurl, center of the park, gets a first touch and nods it along there for Avayevu, who skips it forward up and to the left. Can anybody get there? Yes, they can. Rising, attacking third, back for Flood. That white cast, so obvious. Avayevu, back for Flood, left foot, crossing into the box. A strong left-footed ball to the far post. Can't quite get there. Jamison Ping gives a little more chase, but now Monterey back in control. Can Robinson keep it in play? Instead, rule the throw-in in the attacking third here for Phoenix. Robinson will run it all the way back. Formella got to that ball in the attacking third, had a chance, but instead gave it back for Flood. They say that Flood has a left foot built for any level of soccer. So strong. Throw in Colin Smith, deep in the attacking third. Marga wins it back. A right-footed pass for Colin Smith, trying to spin, turn, and get past his man. Another throw-in in the attacking third. Colin Smith will pick the ball back up. 77th minute, 1-0. Colin Smith, 2 hands on the ball. Perhaps a long throw-in on the way. The near man, Jamison Ping, to his left, opts not to choose him. Goes to the middle for Jurl. Pushes back for Darius. Darius back for Jamo. Jamo all the way for Axel. Number 51. Slowly but surely will he take his attacking space, trying to jar his defender free. Instead turns all the way back around for Rakowski. Now Elijah Paul getting involved in the press. He gives a hearty chase to the front of the line. Right foot to the ball there. Can anyone get there? Axel Asenge watches it go out of bounds. Pushed Adam Larson to ground. Larson thought that he could get there. Still nothing. Throw in deep in the defensive half now for Colin Smith and Phoenix. Long, up over the top, chested by Jurl. Jurl pushed to ground, and a foul ruled there for Monterey again. 78th minute, free kick in their defensive half. Can Phoenix find a second? 78th.
This is the game for Axel Senge right now. You have Saint going out of the match. You got Montgomery, who's played center back before, but you're the only true center back out there. This is about you trying to lead the line as well.
Asenge, a long ball that only finds the head of Nico Gordon. Gordon sends it to the near side touchline. Colin Smith getting involved in the action, headed along by Fong Guk, center of the park, trying to break the half. Axel Asenge once again back in, shoulder to the ball, faked everybody out. Larson can't get there. Rakowski back for Asenge. Asenge surging, a little attacking space. Can he break the half line? A long ball for Joel Margarita. Nobody there besides Monterey. Fonguk, half line. Robinson, near side touchline. 79th, 1-0. Phoenix in the driver's seat. Marga can't quite get there. Back for Robinson. Monterey trying to get something happening. Elijah Paul can't quite get there, but on the other side, it's Revelar breaking the final third in the 18-yard box. Moves all the way back. Ryan Flood does enough to make up for his mistake. Cross on the way from Monterey off the back there of Formella. Formella gives back for Flood. Flood, a long ball over the top. Can he find a run of Darius Johnson? Looks like he stays onside. The flag is down. Johnson dancing, left foot, right foot, fancy football, breaking into the 18. Darius Johnson loses it, but he gets back to the ball. Formella on the edge of the 18. Back for Johnson. Back and forth they go. They'll opt to go for the left back, Ryan Flood. Slow left sole over the ball. Moving towards the center of the park, beating his man. Rebellard takes Flood to ground. 80th minute and another caution out of the pocket. What's that, 7, Mahir?
I'd have to say so, and again, just really streaky play by Rising. That's the one thing we've seen compared towards the first half, Kevin, is that they're really moving towards the midfield. A lot of individual dribbles by these players trying to coax these fouls by Monterey. And it was Rising actually putting the pressure on in the first half, but Monterey is really stepping back when these fouls are really happening. So Rising once again asserting themselves in towards the attacking third and back towards the 18.
It'll be Braxton Montgomery to take on the edge of the center half circle in the 80th minute in the attacking half. Flood, a ball over the top, trying to find a run for Darius Johnson, who watches it go over the end line. Nothing there, and a goal kick for Monterey. 81st, final 10 on the way, plus probably a decently sized chunk of stoppage time after a few lengthy breaks in play. 81st, 1-0. Phoenix in the lead at 38th in Washington, trying to break a 238-day streak of not winning in front of the home side. JP Skiers pushes forward for Jurl. Jurl breaking into that final third. Jurl dancing. Can the Curacao native make a little more magic? Finds Formel on the edge of the 18 towards the left half space. Slow, dragging, pushes a right-footed ball back for Flood. Still in the attacking third. Passes it down. Avievu loses it, and it goes outside of the end line. Goal kick for Monterey again. Campuzano ushering everyone forward and drags everybody back. Guzman close. Maybe they'll build. Orange boots of Guzman on the edge of that 8-yard box. Still 1-0, and another substitution on the way for Monterey. Revelar will come off, and Alex Dixon will come on, the 35-year-old from Bay City, Texas. Played for Pittsburgh, and he only has 111 minutes this season. Just 3 appearances. This will make it 4, a single start. No goals, no assists so far in the 2025 campaign. Made 25 appearances. 24 of them were starts for Monterey in 2024, and he had 4 goals and an assist. Just a shade under 2,000 minutes. He's currently the 5th all-time in league history in total minutes played for the championship. That's good for 20,387. It's a serious career in the championship. We'll see if he can turn this one around for Monterey. Dixon on, and Revelar off. Striker for a winger. Number 10 comes on for number 7. Monterey with the restart. Gordon surges, finds over the half line. Far side touchline. Dixon deep in the half. 82nd, turning into the 83rd. 1-0 Phoenix. Center of the park. Von Guck turns it around. Still in the center of the park. Jamo giving a little pressure defensively. All the way back for center back play again. Gordon to Guzman. Moving right to left. Breaks a line. Finds Robinson. Robinson with a right-footed ball. Makes Jurl bite. Skips a line. Finds a man. Near side touchline. There's Gadiri. Robinson breaking the final third. Sends a cross off the shoulder of J.P. Skierson in the center of the box. Cleared away by Axel. Darius Johnson going to try to win this one in the half. Jurl also in the area. Number 7 trying to put it down. Gets a left foot to the ball, and Jamo for a moment has possession. Near side touchline for Colin Smith. A slicing ball up and over the top for Jurl. Can he get there? Not quite. Campuzano slow and collected. The man from Spain, 27 years old. Fairly decent tonight. 84th minute. Only conceded 1. That header from J.P. Skierce earlier in the second half. Put that one in the 65th. They hit the target. 84th. Phoenix in the lead. Gordon into the center of the park there. Fair moves it along for Dixon. All the way back for Gordon again. Center of the park. Von Guck stuck in his defensive half, and Jamo jars it free. Headed along there by Colin Smith. Finds the foot of Jurl. Jurl surging into the 18. Moves left, moves right, cuts into the center of the box. Snuffed out by Monterey for just a moment. Can they get it free? Robinson moves it out to the left. And finds more waiting feet. The Crispin Kelp slip. And it's a throw-in deep in the attacking third for Phoenix. 85th minute. Can they get another?
Rising has been in some possessions this season where they've held the lead and have just been unable to really put this game on ice, really deciding to sit back. Detroit really comes to mind, in my opinion. A lot of these games where Rising wants to try to change their mindset and really end this one.
Jurl plays back for Jamo, who almost loses it out of the line, but Colin Smith is there to clean up the mistake, and a foul on the near side touchline there. Jamo was pushed almost into that Palmodo Ka signature water cooler. Taking a ground, and a man down in his own third for Monterey. Looks like it might be Von Guck. We'll see if the physio comes out for this one. 85th minute. All substitutes now watching, waiting in those pennies. You see Monterey in the bright pink. And on the other side, near the supporter section, it's Phoenix in the bright yellow. Little huddle up around there. Von Guck goes back down. He stood up for a moment, sits back down. Now the physio comes out for Monterey. Physio tonight for MBFC, Kelly Lukens. She'll make the long trot out for Von Guck. Center referee Trevor Wiseman stands waiting. And while they receive care, Mahir, this crowd still a little quiet here at 38th and Washington. Not as full as I think some might have hoped for out of school night, but still a hearty group here. Now on the verge of 3. You mentioned it, that Detroit game still sort of looming large. We're in that zone now, 86th minute, breaking that final 5. We'll probably have a lot of stoppage time, but it was in this piece of the game just a few weeks ago where they conceded 3 in what felt like, 3.5 minutes. How do we stop that from happening tonight?
Pretty much try to keep possession. If you don't have possession, you have to make sure that all bodies are behind the ball. Similar to what we've seen from Rising to start off this game, Kevin, where You know, they were really throwing bodies back, and whenever Monterey was really trying to push towards the attacking third, especially towards that midway point far side, somebody was there to just nick the ball away. And that's all you could ask for at this point if you're Palmetto Cop. Just get the ball out of that attacking quarter, and all of a sudden Rising has a little bit more momentum, right? It's all about building up to the eventual result that you want at the end of the day.
Trying to keep momentum on their side. In the second half so far, still Monterey that has the lion's share of the ball, 57.5% to Phoenix's 42.5. Still only one offsides in the second half for Phoenix. Once again, a much welcome change. 7 shots in the second half alone, 5 of them on target for PRFC. Here comes a chance. Switching play for Jurl. Breaks into the 18. A left-footed shot off the foot of what looked like Alex Dixon. Jurl gives chase. Can he get there on the far side touchline? Yes, he can. Keeps it in corner, right half space. A quick move, jars it free. More magic from Joel Margarita. A quick stop, stops left, stops right, serves to the center of the box, hits the back again. Monterey trying to win it back. They can't. Jamison Ping moves it to the left. Ryan Flood, left-footed ball to the center of the box! Ryan Flood! Oh, can you believe it? In the 88th minute, Ryan Flood sends a screamer from 28 yards out, and a left-footed ball finds the back of the net. It's 2-0 Phoenix, and Monterey is on the ropes.
Talk about creating a chance, Kevin. That's what Ryan Flood just did. You just take the spot, you take the space. He had more than a yard and said, why not? And it was just lasered past Campuzano, who's had a really good day. Just couldn't save that. Opportune moments for Rising tonight.
What a strike from Ryan Flood. And it couldn't happen to a more local guy. Tempe, Arizona. Ryan Flood hails from. Played for Finn Harps over in Ireland as a striker. Now he comes over to America and plays as a left back. He's been loaned out a few times. He's come and gone from Phoenix. He played for Orange County on loan last year. Now back in his home state. And the left back puts in his first goal of 2025 in just his 3rd appearance. Only 1 start on the year, and finally gets a goal on target. 2-0 Phoenix in the 89th minute. Monterey breaks the actual half, and maybe a handball called in the center of the box, but instead it doesn't matter. It was number 9, Adam Larson, who had a chance and put a chest to the ball, but he fell in the 8-yard box. Rakowski was calling for the handball. I don't even know if he saw that the ball didn't even hit the back of the net. Went out far post, 89th minute. That one happened extremely quickly. Monterey shot out of a cannon. Still likely that there's a lot of extra time on the way here. We'll see how much stoppage comes on the clock in about a minute. 90th, 60 seconds away from seeing that board go up. Long ball from Rakowski. Headed up and out of play, and a throw in for Phoenix. Another man down here for Monterey. Looks like it might be number 10, Alex Dixon. The 35-year-old goes to ground near the center of the park. My apologies, it's actually Elijah Paul, their big number 9, who comes from Gilbert, Arizona, another local kid. Going from Ryan Flood to Elijah Paul. Paul wanted to score here in front of the home crowd. So far hasn't happened. 90th minute, about 25 seconds away from the board. Colin Smith, a throw in near the half line. Elijah Paul gets up and he'll start running again. Nothing on the way for either team. Colin Smith, ball over his head, throws it over for Jamison Ping, who almost loses it but wins it back. Some hardy play there, and JP Skeers wins it, but a foul given to Monterey. It was Moby Fair who got fouled near the half line, and a free kick for Monterey. 5 seconds away. We'll see how much stoppage comes up here from the referee. 2-0. Could be 7 minutes. We'll see if that board turns around. 7 minutes of stoppage time. We'll play into the 97th and likely the 98th here at 38th and Washington, with Phoenix in the lead by 2. The last time they led it home by 2, they gave up 3 goals in about 5 minutes to lose to Detroit City. That happened this year. Long ball over the top for Robinson. Breaks the attacking third. Colin Smith in the area. Shuts off the angle. Robinson has to move it back. Near side. Played back again. Gaderi stops. More Smith action. Jamison Ping just hounding there inside for number 13. Moby Fair. Can he break it? Not quite. Moves back in for Robinson. One-touch football on the near side. Alex Dixon up and running again. Jamison Ping low to the ground, shuts off the angle. Robinson, a shot into the center of the box. Looked like a cross, but that one had a chance. Elijah Paul falls to ground in front of the nylon. Still nothing for Monterey, 92nd, and a goal kick on the way for Phoenix.
We've seen Monterey work into this 4-4-2, and it's between Paul and Larson just trying to crash the box right now, and Paul, again, really tied to his man, can't really scoop away from him and get towards Rakowski.
Rakowski going.
Been that kind of night.
Been that kind of night. Rakowski ushers everyone forward and sends a ball up and over the timeline, headed down by Guzman, but only as far as Asenge, who pushes a right-footed ball up for Avayevu, who now has a chance on the counter, and a hard foul through the back there. That could have been Paul as well. Not too sure who's in the center of the park. Alex Dixon. Yellow card comes out of the pocket there again from center referee Trevor Wiseman. Active bookings, and Avayevu is still down a few yards away from the center of the park. 93rd minute now, 2-0 Rising. Avayevu hunched over in a heap. Helps himself back up. There's a little interaction there between Ryan Flood and Rakowski deep in their own defensive half, talking about who knows what, but the ball went all the way over there, so Ryan Flood walks it back. Slowly but surely in the 93rd, Ryan Flood with that massive white cast. Puts it a few yards away from the semicircle in the center of the park. Attacking half for Phoenix. Long ball served from the right foot of JP Skeers. Pushed down by Darius Johnson on the far side touchline. Can they find anything from it? Jarred a free. Only as far as Ryan Flood. Avayevu finds JP Skeers. Tries to split the line. Back for Skeers again off the foot of a Monterey Bay man. Pushed down to ground again. Formella goes to ground. Another foul on Monterey. Getting a little chippier. Caution after caution has come out of the pocket at this point. Got to be a little careful. Grant Robinson has a caution. Adrian Rebelar, who's subbed off. Pierce Galloway, who's subbed off. Carlos Guzman, Moby Fair, Joel Garcia, all recipients of a yellow tonight. The only one for Phoenix is JP Skeers. He scored that first goal, a header. Wasn't really a set piece goal, but it kind of turned into one after the corner was kicked high up into the sky by Monterey. They couldn't quite settle it. And the target finally puts it down. Far side touchline throw in for Monterey. Long thrown on the way for the Crispin Kelp. Blown dead by the center referee. Ask them to do it again. 94th minute, 2-0. Phoenix at home, trying to stop a very, very long slide and maybe notch 2 wins in a row. Avayevu watches the ball go out of the touchline. 95th. Monterey slowly inching up. Attacking half. Long throw in there to the center of the park for Moby Fair. Fair spinning and turning. Can't quite get around. Moving backwards again is Monterey. Gordon tracking back. Finding Guzman. And Campuzano. Strong pass played back. Not a great one. Gaderi dancing, trying to beat Margarita. Bad play there and a bad pass. JMO picks it off. Breaking the third again. Jurl stops on a dime. Can he push a right-footed cross in? Maybe did a little too much. Tries to turn it around. And a throw in the defensive third there for Monterey. Jurl did a little too much on the ball. One too many touches as we hit almost the 96th. Throw in booted down by Robinson and a right-footed ball. Long run from Elijah Paul, but he can't quite get there. Ryan Flood. Smooth pass back to his goalkeeper. Rakowski. Long ball up and over the top. A far clear. Hold play from Jurl. Right half space. JMO moves along for Jurl, who takes a bad pass off the outside of his cleat. Looks like he thought the ball was going to go a little wider. Couldn't quite stay inside of it. Pushes it out of bounds again. Another throw in for Monterey. Long throw in there. Blown dead again. Trevor Wiseman likes this one to be clean and concise. They'll try it again. They said he was a little too far up. Looked like Gaderi. And here comes Alex Araneta. 6'3" center back from Montclair, California. Just his second appearance in Rising Red so far in 2025. He was brought in the offseason as center back help along with Casey Walls, who's no longer with the squad anymore after announcing retirement. And Araneta was the other center back brought in. He rehabbed in the 6th division of Spain after a complete leg break, and now returns to America and USL Championship play. Gets his second set of minutes here for Phoenix. Formella, some holding play for Flood. Out to the left half space, and then a long left-footed ball up and over the top. Campuzano going to play a little bit of outfield here, but he won't grab it until it finally bounces into his mitts. 97th, 2-0 Phoenix. A swift and decisive rollout to the right here for Monterrey. Long switching ball, trying to find the feet of Robinson, headed away by Colin Smith. Marga gives a little chase, and it goes back to Monterrey. Crispin Kelp trying to knock. The Seasiders trying to find the final third. Gaderi couldn't quite get there. Center of the park. Pushed along. Right half space. Ryan Flood in the area. Monterrey, they beat one. Can they beat two? Trying to find a cross, and Ryan Flood snuffs it out. Contact in the box. Just rule the corner there. 97th, 2-0. Still Phoenix. Played short. Monterrey takes the corner quickly. Here comes a long set of service headed away by Darius Johnson. Ryan Flood going to try to get a left foot to it. He does. Might stay in play. Finally trickles out and hits some fans in the stands. Another souvenir there. They'll have to give the ball back in a moment. Another long throw in. Montgomery, can he get it clear? Asenge watches that one almost glance off the post. Colin Smith with a long run, and Robinson will be the man to give chase. 3 whistles, and we won't play into the 98th. Phoenix win their first game at home. They avoid the double-double from Monterrey, but more importantly, they bring 3 points home in front of a home side that hasn't seen a win in 238 days. That stopped tonight. Still a little shorthanded, but the bench came in when they needed to. 2-0. And now we'll see where they move up into the table, but Mahir finally gets done. A win in front of 38th and Washington. It feels pretty good.
Yeah, it does feel pretty good, especially after it's happening after more than 200 days. The chances were just knocking for Phoenix. And again, we've talked about what Rising has been through to start off this season, and the fact that they were building off of a really good 2-game stretch against Houston and against New Mexico. They were able to get it done today, and they were able to make the most of their chances. It was a little bit tough at first, but they were able to break through.
This win so far, Rising creeps up to 13 points in the table, now sitting at 7th place, tied with 3 other teams now. It's FC Tulsa and Sacramento Republic, who sit tied between 5th, 6th, and 7th with Phoenix. We'll have to see what USL says, because the normal tiebreakers generally don't apply. But now FotMob says that Phoenix moves up into 6th. But regardless of where they land tonight, Mahir finally up above the playoff line for the first time since the season began. 3 wins, 3 points in front of home, and that goal from Ryan Flood at the end felt like a dagger that no one saw coming.
It sure did, and I think that's where you just take the most of your chances, right? That's what 38th and Washington Magic is all about, Kevin. And even though there weren't too many wins here last year, it felt similar to a win, where you just get the best chance, you get the most of your set pieces, and then maybe you can pull the trigger. You got momentum on your side, you got the weight of the world off of you. Why not double your lead? And that's what it felt like when Ryan Flood did it. And that too, Ryan Flood, who's been in and out of the lineup, originally came to Rising as a left back, played as a striker at times last year, now moved back into that left back spot, making his way back into full fitness. That's just a confidence boost for him and a confidence boost to this team.
2 Arizona boys score for Phoenix tonight. It's JP Skierce and Ryan Flood. They put the 2 in the back of the net that let Phoenix win 2-0 at home for the first time in far too long. September of 2024 was the last time home fans saw 3 points come home at 38th and Washington. We'll break more of it down in just a moment on the Phoenix Rising Radio post-game show presented by Crown Public House on Phoenix Rising's X and Facebook pages, as well as KDUS 1060 AM. Back in just a moment from 38th after a massive win. But here's Hassan Kevin Cardez breaking it down in just a few.
Suzuchuku's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL champions.
Bliss and a burst of red smoke. Phoenix Rising, our home. Welcome to 38th and Washington.
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
Time for one last kick of the ball on tonight's match. It's Rising Radio postgame wrap-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Phoenix get it done at home for the first time in over 200 days. A 2-0 win over Monterey Bay. They avoid the double-double. Monterey came to town, beat Phoenix last year. They beat them on the road as well. And then this year, beat them in the first fixture earlier in the 2025 championship season. But Phoenix says no more, and they win not only their third game of the year, but their second in a row, just their first of 2025. It's only happened 4 times cumulatively over 2023 and 2024 combined. Not a common occurrence for a team that at one point won 19 games in a row, but it was the Arizona boys who propelled Phoenix to this win. It was JP Skierce with a header in the 65th, and at the last moment, 89th minute for Ryan Flood, puts in a screamer off his left foot, one that they say is blessed and can play at any level of soccer, whether it's stateside or overseas. Unbelievable night for Arizona boys, but unbelievable night for Phoenix, Mahir.
It definitely was, and I think you needed a result like this because you understand that 30th and Washington is supposed to be your home fortress. It is for you, and you are supposed to get wins on your home turf, and that was the one thing waiting for this Phoenix Rising side, right? First off, it was only one win on the season. It was against San Antonio. Then they get that second win last week against New Mexico, and the question is, can you finally get it at home for the first time in the Pa Motoka era? And they did it tonight. And all of a sudden you get a little bit more joy in the stands. You get a little bit more excitement. You can get a little bit more energy, right? And a lot of these players have talked about it too, down the stretch, even going back to the 2023 run, where a lot of them were really excited to play at 30th and Washington and really feel that palpable energy. And that's what we felt tonight, especially with Out of School Night, one of the most populous theme nights, if you will, in terms of attendance for Phoenix Rising. They did that tonight, and it felt like a confidence boost. They felt like they needed this win for not just themselves, but for their fans.
Now Rising have 2 wins in a row. They add 6 points over the last 7 days cumulatively to their total. They'll hop up to 13 points on the table. We'll still have to see how everything shakes out table-wise with all the different tiebreakers and everything that goes into it. But for now, tied between 3, it's Tulsa, Phoenix, and Sacramento at 13 points apiece. Finally, Phoenix level in goal differential, 18 goals scored, 18 conceded. They sit at a flat 0 for the first time in a very long time. The defense has been brought up to speed, but maybe the most underrated and maybe left aside storyline, Mahir, the first clean sheet in 15 matches for Phoenix. Rakowski notches his first of the year, but this streak stretches far beyond 2025. It goes back into the doldrums of 2024. They finally get that scoreless opportunity, and it feels like there's a chance for them to settle in.
It sure does, and I think going back to that Rakowski clean sheet, we talked about how Rakowski has stepped into that role, right? He was the backup going into this year, stepping into that starting role for Rocco Rios Novo, who led that back line to a title back in 2023. You take a look at these stats, Kevin. 4 shots for Monterey, 0 on target. That's a credit to what Rakowski's put up and really manning his defense. And it could be the same for the back line and the same for the midfield too, because Rising really choked out Monterey. And this was the first time this season we have ever seen Rising really bring it to their opponent and stymie their attacks. That's something we have not seen from Phoenix Rising this season because they've allowed so many chances. And yet, today they were able to hunker down, they were able to play really tight, match Monterey's game plan, and come out with the win.
It feels like they stymied what would have been the biggest catalyst for Monterey. Elijah Paul was held quiet all night long, didn't do much at all. 30 touches, but only 2 in the opposition box. His name was not called enough. And it's because they couldn't get there. That disjunction in the final third plagued Monterey all night long. We got a little more in the Rising Radio post-game wrap-up presented by Crown Public House. We'll be back in just a moment to break down some more, talk about what's to come for a very long and difficult run of form after this game for Phoenix and for Monterey. A little table talk too. We'll see where Phoenix slides in due to the USL Championship finally updating the standings. Take a quick peek at that after this on Phoenix Rising Radio Network and KDUS 1060 AM.
Zuzuchukwu's in. Arteaga!
You're listening to Rising Radio, home of the 2023 USL Champions.
Red smoke! Phoenix Rising, our home! Welcome to 38th and Washington!
Stick around for more as our broadcast continues.
Buying a house can seem almost impossible, especially today. But with the right agent in your corner, it makes the challenge seem effortless. Hi, I'm Connor Cochran with Good Oak Real Estate, your go-to agent in the Valley. Whether you're buying, selling, or investing, I'm here to guide you every step of the way. Because finding the perfect home shouldn't be stressful, it should be exciting. Call 480-688-3200 today. Again, that's 480-688-3200. Let's have the conversation.
Hey Phoenix Rising fans, this is Discount Tire, your hometown tire retailer and trusted partner on the road for over 65 years. We know it can be overwhelming when buying tires, but we're here to help. Our online tire buying guide, Treadwell, makes finding the right tires simple. Just plug in your vehicle, location, and driving habits, and Treadwell will give you unbiased, personalized recommendations based on your needs, not based on price. Inviting, easy, and safe. Just how tire buying should be. Shop tires with Treadwell at discounttire.com. Let's get you taken care of.
Join in on the Sports Zoo on your ride home from work with Dave Rooster Bierstein. Join Rooster as he lays down what's happening around sports and makes it clear what's on his mind.
Oh my.
Catch the day's craziest stories and some of the latest numbers from the sports books across the valley. The Sports Zoo with Dave Rooster Bierstein.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a wild option.
Weekdays 5 to 6 p.m. on KDUS AM 1060 and on the KDUS 1060 app.
This is the Rising Radio post-game wrap-up on the Phoenix Rising Radio Network.
Back with the Rising Radio postgame wrap-up presented by Crown Public House. Mahir Sinhasan, Kevin Cardez. Phoenix now, according to USL, sits 7th in the table, knotted up at 13 apiece with Sacramento and Tulsa. Both of them sit 5 and 6 above each other. This is what gets interesting to me, Mahir. At 2nd and 3rd and 4th, San Antonio, El Paso, and Monterey knotted at 16 apiece. Now Phoenix is theoretically 3 points away from 2nd place in the West.
And that's the craziness about the Western Conference this year. Even when Rising going into this game, and over the past few weeks, we continue to say, hey, here's the thing. They're just 3 points away from 5th. It's that close, even though it's felt like this team has gotten off to a slow start. They've struggled to get results, especially at home. And all of a sudden, you get this sort of switch. And all of a sudden, you get from one jump to the other. we're still early in the season. There's still a lot left to be played. We're only 10 games through for Phoenix Rising if you're taking a look at USL Championship play. There's still a lot left to go. You still have a lot of Jägermeister Cup games. There's still a lot left for this Phoenix Rising side. So even though you are molding in ways and, you know, you're trying to say, well, let's try to be one of the best teams in the USL, it's a marathon, not a sprint.
Got just about 20 games left in championship play if you're Phoenix. Lots of time, lots of ground to make up still. New Mexico United, your biggest rival, who you just knocked off on the road just 7 days ago, they sit first in the table with 18 points after notching another win today. They beat Orange County 3-0 after sliding for 2 straight losses, one against El Paso, who are now on the chase in 3rd place with 16 points, just 2 behind New Mexico. We'll see what happens, but New Mexico has a game in hand at just 9, and everybody else behind them has 10, 10, and 11. San Antonio, Monterey Bay, New Mexico United. One thing in common between them here, Phoenix has beaten all of them. They have a win against United, they have a win against San Antonio, and they have a win against Monterey, all 3 of which came in league play. Big for the standing, especially when the first tiebreaker for USL right now, head-to-head points earned in regular season league games. That's the difference here. Monterey now square with Phoenix at 3-3. Now you look at the goal differential, completely level. 3 goals scored for Monterey, 3 goals scored for Phoenix, completely level. This will go all the way down, and if we get unlucky enough at 9, it's a lottery conducted by the league. Awesome, let's go. Big win. JP Skierce, Ryan Flood for Yuma here now, looking forward. Rising has a lot of work to do cup-wise. The Jägermeister Cup now looms large, but a road trip as well to Las Vegas, and now the run starts to happen, but they have a little break too, 10 days off before they go to Las Vegas on the road.
And I think the biggest thing for that break is try to get a lot of guys back, right? We saw Jerome Margarita get a few minutes. Alex Araneda making his first appearance in a very, very long time. Hasn't gotten regular minutes since preseason. That's how long he's been out. So there's a lot of players that are slowly starting to enter the fold, right? Pop Marboy could be back during that time. We've seen Charlie Dennis and Julio Dorotioto make some progression during that time. So you never know what can happen. And I think if you're Pam Motoka, yes, it is 10 days off, but at the same time, you want to be intensive and you want to try to get guys back in the fray. He's continued to tell us that the physicality of this team and the fitness of this team is progressively getting better, and they're doing a good job in trying to get their best players out on the pitch. So that's the biggest focus, and then you turn your attention towards Las Vegas, and then you're back in Jaeger Cup play against New Mexico. So, you know, it's one thing to really turn your attention to Jägermeister Cup play, try to avenge that 1-0 loss to San Antonio from a few weeks ago, but at the same time, when you take a look at this match, knowing that you're not playing a home league game until June 7th, after that, your next home game in league play is not till July 4th, a game like this really matters for the squad to really pick up 3 points at home.
And home away aside, their next few games in championship play are against Las Vegas, Orange County, and Tulsa. 3 things in common with them. Not 3 teams that Phoenix has beaten, but 3 teams that are surrounding them in the Western Conference. They get no breaks. With the new situation where you don't go and play every team in the championship due to the Jägermeister sort of, messing with the schedule and having to fit their league play games in along with the cup games, it's sort of changed how the East and the West interact on a season-to-season basis. Now you don't play every team in the entire championship. They will skip out on playing certain squads in 2025, and that means that they're going to go on long runs where it's Western team, Western team, Western team. How do you withstand that, and how important is it to just stay locked in? You got 3 straight games against Western opponents. On the other side, you could come out on top of the table.
You know, it's very important to just keep that rhythm going forward, and I think that's what Pam Motoka really wants to bring to this squad. You know, even though, yes, it is a win, it is a league win in what is a marathon of a season right now. So you want to really just remain even-keeled, treat every game like it's your biggest game of the year, and try to go forward and win it. I think the other thing, too, for this Rising side, as a lot of them are congregated on the east side of the stadium, really talking to some fans right now, is just going in towards each game and have some sort of plan, right? It's just going in towards that rhythm, right? You see that at the MLS level. You see that in Europe, is just that challenge, right, of going in every game and giving it your all. And whether you have your best squad available or you're missing a few, you want to be able to make sure that every player knows that it's his ability to step up and be in the box, be in the midfield, wherever he might be, and bring that energy.
2 more questions before we wrap this one up. One, playing off of what you just said, so going in and having a plan and sticking to it. Would you say, because I would, that started against Dynamo, because they went into that game against a side that had not only far more quality, but just, let's address the elephant in the room, just more money invested in that team. A Major League Soccer squad has resources that a USL team just does not have. They came to 38th in Washington, and Phoenix battled a 1-1 draw through 90 minutes. And it's because, to me, they had a plan.
And I think that plan was to really just stick to your guns and stick to the defense, right? And that's the one thing we've seen from Phoenix over these past few games. Is they've really played well, even though they've been missing Pop Marboy and Mo Traore during this entire stretch. They've been able to really stretch out. Communication's been well, and everybody knows where they're supposed to be on the pitch. And I think that's where it really starts off. That was the one thing that was missing in this Pamorika side, because he officially said at the beginning of the season, we won't have a defensive mindset. And in ways, it kind of came back to bite Phoenix, because they were either trailing early or they were up, and then all of a sudden they were losing the lead down the stretch. So this defensive side, especially this back line, is really doing a better job for Phoenix. And some of it also comes to Patrick Rakowski, who's in net. I think the second part of it, too, they're learning from what they learned earlier in the season. And I think we saw that tonight with tonight's game against Monterrey. Instead of sitting back up 1-0, they were still pressing. They were looking for that insurance goal. That's why Ryan Flood took that shot. They wanted to be aggressive in that moment. Darnell King said it as well after that Detroit City loss, where they blew a 2-goal lead in the last 5 minutes of regulation. It's those little things where Rising is just not satisfied. They want to get 3 points, and they want to push it forward.
Darnell said it as that they had victory at their feet. They could smell it, and yet they couldn't capitalize and bring it home. That Detroit game, we talked about it a lot this broadcast because it loomed large. A 2-goal lead in front of a home team that hasn't seen a home win until tonight for a very, very long time. That moment against Detroit was the first time in 10 years that Phoenix had lost a game with a 2-goal lead. 10 years, a decade of play. We talked about so much how Dynamo was the first team in a decade from Major League Soccer to come to Phoenix and play in Arizona. We can talk about that 2-goal upset there from Detroit. Wasn't in character. My last question for you, Mahir, as we get closer to the summer, although the heat is slowly bearing down on Phoenix, you get closer to a window where you're going to watch 3 key players exit the squad for a little bit. Jural's going to go play in the Gold Cup for Curacao and World Cup qualifiers. You're going to go see Carl Fred Saint go be the man for Haiti again. And Darius Johnson, who has slowly but surely asserted himself back into a squad that really needs him. His high-octane, intense press and overall energy on the pitch has become one that has been very reassuring for PRFC. All 3 of them on the way out, Grenada, Haiti, Curacao. How do you navigate the window? Do you look towards a transfer? Do you think that you have the moves inside the locker room, or do you just sort of play it by ear as we get closer?
I think you play it by ear, but I think if you had to choose between one side of the spectrum, I think it's going back towards who you have in your locker room right now. And it's a lot of players who can come in and really make a difference. And again, we've seen some transfers come in, including Asenge from LA Galaxy, but I think where this team is right now in terms of Pamorika's stature, they're playing his philosophy, they're really showing out, and they're really trying to establish what they want to do, which is to be a high energized team that wants to go out and win games. They're fighting for the ball, they're really going forward, and I think everybody understands that. We even saw it from Jamison Ping and many others who came into the game late. So it's not a question of, you know, do you need anybody coming in? I feel like everybody knows the Pamorika philosophy, and they're fully buying into it.
Well, 2-0 your final at home. Phoenix finally get a win at 38th in Washington off the backs of Nogales, Arizona, giving us JP Skierce, came from Union Omaha and scores his first goal for the club in 2025. The 27-year-old put in a header in the 65th to put Phoenix in the driver's seat, but it was Ryan Flood who scored his first goal since 2022 with Phoenix Rising. He scored 14 overseas with Finn Harps in Ireland. Outside of that, he has never scored another goal in USL Championship play, whether with Orange County or Phoenix Rising. This was his first goal in USLC play since 2022. An absolute screamer from the left foot in the 89th minute for the man from Tempe, Arizona. It was hometown boys that carried a hometown club to their first win in front of a hometown crowd in 238 days. Finally, Phoenix with 2 in a row in 2025, and slowly but surely on the chase and the table. 13 points and counting. They take down Monterey Bay FC. They avoid the double for the second year in a row and firmly have momentum. Their campaign in 2025 has turned sour to sweet, and now they have a chance to prove their worth as we get closer to the summer. The heat is turning up, the pressure was dialed up, and Phoenix have stepped to the moment. 2-0 at home. Phoenix takes down Monterey Bay. From myself, my color analyst, Mahir Hassan, and Sammy O'Brien, our fantastic producer all night long. And a quick thank you and congratulations to Ryan Sikora and Devin Henderson, both of which graduated from the Cronkite School with the class of 2025 this spring. Both have been integral to Phoenix Rising Radio over the last 3 years. Devin Henderson called the USL Final with Rising Radio in 2023 along with Peyton Gallagher and Ronan Haincoop, who sat aside them as the producer that night. Ronan will stay with us throughout the fall of this year and later on in next year, but Ryan Sikora as well, he'll hang around with the summer crew. Devin Henderson, we wish him good luck and a huge thank you as well as he heads back to Sacramento and works over the summer back in his home city, maybe going back out somewhere else, but we wish him well wherever he goes. When Ryan does the same, we'll do it for him as well. Fantastic work from those two young men that have propelled the program that has turned into something that we do every week. It's been a pleasure. Phoenix win in front of home, 2-0 over Monterey. Fantastic night.